Alrighty, everybody, welcome in. This is IGTL's Gardens 100 Laps.
And we're here to commentate with myself, Sky Pikmin, and Artemis from Distinct and content creator on Twitch.
Yep.
Let's hope we'll have a very good race. We hope we have high hopes for nice battles, and we'll also probably get a bit of weird weather, but we'll see that during the race.
Yeah, they've definitely got some tricks up their sleeves for this lobby today. Drivers be on their toes the entire time.
Yep. Knowing the IGTL organizers, I'm expecting some weird stuff. I also think that they probably also already tried the combo to get us a good race. So the cars, nobody chose the Lexus, which saddens me a lot, but that's how it is.
Yeah, it's pretty much going to be an NSX fest over here. I've noticed a lot of the drivers and teams had favored the NSX, so we'll definitely see a lot of those on track.
Yep, we will have a look at the entry list shortly to be able to help you figure out which drivers is in which car. And as you can see, 4 Nissans and a lot of Hondas on the track.
I'm a bit biased towards Honda, to be honest. The NSX is an absolute joy to drive on this game. I like to say that it turns for you, because on liftoff it tends to turn a bit. So it'll be interesting to see how they handle it with changing conditions as well.
And we will probably have some differences regarding the tire wears, because obviously not the same drivetrain. I mean, the Nissan having the engine at the front will probably struggle a bit with the front tires, and the NSX, as always, no matter the GR4, GR3, GR2, always a bit of a struggle with the rears, so we'll see. And as you can see, a lot of very fast drivers in that lobby.
Oh yeah, definitely stacked. There's definitely going to be a great talent spread across the entire grid. So it'll be interesting to see how they bunch up and how things change, especially with the driver change in the middle.
Yep, as you can see, unfortunately, there is a team with only one driver, so they will get a 20-second penalty at the start of the second stint, because his teammate couldn't make it for the race and they couldn't find a replacement on time.
Yeah, yep. So we'll definitely see Distinct GG Pink with Distinct Hosky piloting that car for the entirety of the whole race, but as Pikmin said, with including that 20-second penalty for Stint 2.
And we have, yeah, as I was saying, a lot of big names. We have B-Racer, Chosete, Manu Rodri, people that are used to the live events. Twitchy too, which is a pretty fast driver, and Mehdi and Antonio also amongst the top French drivers, so we'll probably make for a very good race.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely anticipating seeing a lot of good battles here, and it'll be definitely interesting to see how everything evolves.
And I'm kind of wondering if the difference in the cars will have a lot to if the like, for example, if the NSX is better in the corners, the GTR better on the straight. I'm not really sure, as I didn't really drive those cars in GT7, so we'll see how the cars make their lap times, because it could be pretty important. For example, if one of the two cars is faster on the straight, makes defense a bit easier, makes overtaking a bit easier, and then if the other is better at cornering, if they let them escape and in clean air, then it will be hard to catch up to them, and will be hard to overtake too, but we'll see how the drivers handle it. I'm pretty sure they already tried to figure out some strategies and some overtaking points on the track.
Yeah, that's for sure. I can definitely say that in terms of my experience of driving both vehicles, I would definitely say that the NSX struggles a little bit on the straights in comparison to the Nissan. So we will definitely see how that evolves. But I definitely think they're going to have to try and stay within slip so that can be a little bit more even throughout the whole grid.
Oh yeah, probably. I mean, a lot of the time in those very stacked races, you get a train. Sometimes you get different groups. I'm kind of expecting that today. Maybe groups of 3 or 4 cars spread out around the track and nice battles. People trying to save fuel, save the tires, and attack at the best opportunity.
Yeah, that'll definitely be another thing we'll have to definitely make sure that we watch out for is in terms of fuel strategy. It is a very long race, so obviously factor, but fuel strategy as well. Are they going to stay and slip and try and save fuel and minimize pit stops, or are they going to try and push and hope they can make up for the pit delta loss?
Yeah, and obviously, as every driver in that lobby is very fast, the strategy can be very important to think about before the race. I'm pretty sure a lot of the teams did practice quite a lot to figure out what would be the best in terms of the total time per stint. But then you throw in the weird weather that the IGTL organizers love to get, and all the strategy gets a bit shook up because you have to change the tires. You need to think about, am I refueling, am I not, is the rain gonna last, and then your strategy is all gone down the drain. So yeah.
Yeah, we'll definitely see a lot of the display of skill in terms of not only driving, but just being able to strategize on the changing conditions that we're expecting at some point. We don't know what, we don't know when, so it's going to be a surprise for us as the commentators, but also for any of you watching on the stream. So it'll be definitely really fun to see that evolve and see what the drivers choose to do.
Yeah, let's just hope that every team did buy the inters and the wet tires before the race, because otherwise we will see some spinners around.
Oh yeah, we'll see some tops, some Beyblades going around the track.
So yeah, it should be a very fun race to watch, a very good race to commentate on, and hopefully a very good race to drive in for the drivers. Let's hope that we get very good sportsmanship, and as I see the names in the lobby, I guess we won't have issues regarding that. So
yeah.
Let's watch the qualifying highlights. So as you can see, it started with rain and pretty hard to control the cars in these conditions. You see the NSXs having a bit of slip angle.
Oh yeah, definitely showing that liftoff oversteer that happens a lot with the NSX. It's definitely something that if there is rain, the drivers are going to have to be able to handle and anticipate.
Yep, and I would expect the rain to maybe lighten up a bit when we come to the end of the quali session, because I don't know, I already saw that type of qualifying, and we will see. So it's up to the drivers to decide. Oh, and yeah, as you can see, these conditions were pretty hard. So you have to think about setting up a fast lap, but at the same time, if you can't set up a lap at all, then it's not good.
Yeah, it's also going to be very difficult because, you know, if they don't know when the rain is coming, they're going to have to keep an eye out on that radar. If you get stuck out there on slicks, it is not going to be a fun time.
Yeah, as you can see here, he was on the wet tires, Josete, and he still spun. Very nice awareness to let others by before rejoining.
Yeah, definitely not impeding anybody else's qualifying, which is something very much like to see.
As you can see, with 9 minutes to go, the top three were quite separated. I mean, 1 second between P1 and P2, and nearly the same gap for P3. So, and yeah, as I expected, we get some rain that disappears, and I guess it's now that the times will start to get down a bit, and it will be up to the drivers to decide if they want to risk the slick tires at the end of the quali session or to keep the inters to be more safe.
Yeah, I mean, definitely when the track starts drying, if you can see that dry line, usually a lot the slick tires as soon as possible. But if you're not within that dry line, man, you're
Yep.
looking at some spins.
Oh, yep. You really need to be on the line, as you said, because otherwise, your car becomes really uncontrollable. You need also to avoid the curbs that are really, yeah. As you can see, out of the dry line, the car doesn't turn, starts to spin. So yep, pretty hard to handle these conditions. So with 3 minutes to go, you can see the times dropped by more than 10 seconds, and it's very close between the top three. Oh,
Oh,
at the
another
exit of
spin.
the, yeah, just
Good
exiting the
control with bringing
pits.
it back.
Yep. And I guess we will see better times coming to the end of the quali session. We see that there's no rain at all anymore. And ooh, yep, out of the dry line, as you said, out of the dry line. You look at the wall, and the wall comes very fast to your car.
Yeah. And then here he's taking himself off track. Good shout for him
Yep,
there. There was definitely a lot of faster people on the dry line already behind him. So we love to see that sportsmanship.
yep. And we entered the 129s now, and again we see some incidents. Oh, trying to warm up the tires, and it didn't go really well. Yeah, still a
Love
lot
that
of
Pokemon livery though.
water. Yeah, very nicely made. Still a lot of rain on the sides, and you can really see now that that dry line. And oh, yep,
Ugh,
just
taking so many
outside,
victims.
just outside of that line, and you're out. But yeah, we can really see it, especially on that kind of camera angles. Like you can see half the track is dry, the other half better not put a wheel on it. And we come to the end of the quali, so B-Racer decided to do his lap on hards and 29.915. That was a time that we saw done on the with another car on the Inters, I think, before. And
Yeah.
we are now on board with the pole lap from Josete.
Yeah,
As you
you
can
can see
see,
he's really
yep,
sticking to that dry line, taking advantage of every ounce of the track that he possibly can.
yeah, really also avoiding the curbs. Oh, yep,
Yeah.
a bit of slide, and as you can see, really he avoids the curbs to avoid basically the standing water. There's a car in front. I don't know if it will have an impact on him. Feels like he's taking it pretty safe, but as he's on the slick tires, I guess he is probably faster than the people who did their laps on the Inters
Yeah.
anyway. So as long as he stays on that line, it's all good.
Yep, definitely avoiding most of those curbs, especially as the track is drying. They're one of the last things to dry. So avoiding those curbs at all costs and the track could still be wet is definitely the best way to go.
Yep. And we come to the last corners. Yeah, pretty clean lap, pretty safe lap using the dry line, and that's how he got the pole position.
Yeah.
126. That's a time that will probably be well ahead of everyone else, I guess.
Mhm.
So you saw the highlights of the qualifying, but it was just 15 minutes, and now there are two 50 laps stints, so plenty of time to get some positions back for the people who had a bit of issues in the quali.
Yeah, and then you can see on the screen here, they have the option to use hards, inters, and wets for in terms of the tires. And fuel is at 2 times multiplier for wear, and tires times 3 multiplier for wear. There is a manual rolling start and variable weather, so we will be surprised with some different conditions here. And
you
then
can
we're
see
also
the
going to have the
stats for
Nissan.
cars. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so the
go.
Nissan GTR 2016. And then we also have the Honda NSX Concept 2016.
Yeah, both cars obviously pretty, and the Lexus obviously that nobody chose.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
And FOP is enabled, so that balance of power will be active. So there's definitely not going to be any glaring advantages that any of the teams will gain by selecting one car or another.
yep. And you just saw that the pit stop takes roughly 14 seconds plus the change, and that's something that the drivers probably tested out to make sure that they know how to get the most out of their strategy.
Yeah, I know that's definitely one of the main things. If I'm going into a long race, part of the practice is figuring out that pit delta and, having that incorporated into your strategy and different strategy options as well.
Yep. So let's run down the grid for the start of Stint 1. In 12th position, we have Vanquish Esport because they were not there for the quali.
Yep. P11, we have Owls Esports.
P10, the Yas Heat Academy will be an interesting race for them to compare to the other guys.
Yep. P9, we have Euromaster Esports.
With the French guys. P8, we have ZKP Racing with a member of your team.
P7, we have VD by TX3.
P6, one of the distinct car with only Husky, unfortunately.
And P5, we have Balam Digital Motorsport.
P4, the other distinct team with Twitchy and Jish.
Yep. P3, we have Sim Racing Champions.
In P2, the Italians from Outplayed Racing with obviously B-Racer and his teammate Somi.
And leading P1, Papito's racing team. So we'll see how they fare with turn 1, lap 1 of the first stint.
Yeah. I mean, no real surprise for me in that quali session, apart obviously from the Vanquish team not being there, so we don't really know their pace. But I kind of expected these two teams to be on top.
Yeah. Yep, so here is the qualifying results yet again. So we can see P1 just running away with that 126.1 and outplayed not too far behind at a 126.3. Then we have Sim Racing Champions hitting a 127.5. Distinct Teal hitting a 128.8. We have Balam Digital Motorsport P5 with a 129 flat. Distinct Pink running a 129.5. We have P7 Virtual Drivers by TX3 with a 129.6. ZKP Racing in P8 with a 130.4. Euromaster Esports in P9 with a 130.6. Yas Heat Academy in P10 with a 132.2. Owls Esports in P11 with a 132.2. And Vanquish Esports running up the back of the grid as they did not qualify.
Yeah, and we have to take into account the fact that this quali session was held in conditions that let's say, did not allow for everyone to give their best lap time. So that's why you see such gaps between some positions. I guess the people who started their laps as late as possible on the slick tires can have had an advantage compared to the other ones, and obviously the ones who tried to avoid that wet line but could not in their last lap. So that's why we can see such differences in the lap times.
Yeah, for sure. And it definitely is going to evolve into some racing. Hopefully they'll be starting out in the dry conditions here. So we'll definitely see some evolving within the first couple of laps, but it'll be interesting to see how everything unfolds.
Yep, and we were just being told that the lobby is being remade, so we just waiting for the lobby to be created, and we will shortly start the race. I mean, as soon as possible, at least.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if any of you play Gran Turismo, I'm sure you're familiar with the lobby issues you have from time to time in multiplayer, so
yeah,
definitely not something that we weren't expecting. We came prepared.
But yeah, let's talk a bit about our drivers. Josete, obviously, well known GTWS driver, makes a lot of appearances at the live events and is always very fast, and he will probably be today very fast too. So I'm expecting him to do well. Obviously his teammate Manu Rodri is around since the beginning of GT Sport, at least in terms of competitive GT Sport, and also a very good driver that I know a bit more than Josete because he came a bit later in the competitive scene. And their main competition, let's say it, I guess, I mean that's at least my prediction, will be the Italian team with Valerio Gallo, B-Racer. I'm just not very familiar with his teammate, and as always, I'm always saying that, but feel kind of very happy for B-Racer because I saw him when he started competitive Gran Turismo. He was fighting his way to the top, and now he's one of the most known driver from the Gran Turismo competitive scene. And I really hope that his teammate will give us a good fight with the Spanish team too.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely think that B Racer is going to be giving Rosete a bit of a hard time. They seem to be relatively close in terms of qualifying, and I know he is an absolute monster in the NSX. He loves driving the Honda, so it'll be
Yeah.
interesting to see how he can muster some extra strength out of that car.
Yeah, we can. We didn't mention that, but both teams that are in the front row of the grid are driving the Hondas. So maybe it does a bit better when the conditions are tricky, or maybe because, as you said, it's a bit easier to take the corners with it. They add they add it easy to follow the line when the track was drying.
Yeah. And we just got notifications the lobby has reopened, so we are getting started here very shortly.
As for the other teams, obviously I kind of expect the French team with Antonio and Mehdi to make up some positions. I'm pretty sure that their qualifying was not the best they could do. For the Yas Heat Academy team, it will be a very interesting race for them, as they will get to compare to the very good drivers from around the world. We don't often see these flags in the lobbies, so it's pretty nice to have them in the race today.
Yeah, we have a pretty good amount of diversity across the grid, which is always something absolutely amazing to see.
Yeah, people from all around the world driving at various time zones. So for some it's pretty early, for some it's pretty late, for some the sun is gone down already, and for some it will get up soon. So yep, very interesting to see people from all around the world coming into these events.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have no real informations on the Balam Digital Motorsport team, but as we saw in the quali, they did a pretty decent quali lap, so we can expect them, I guess, to do well. And for the other teams, I don't really know them, but I guess they came in prepared, and they will probably want to do their best to shake up the order that everyone expects to be at the end of that race.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, me being affiliated with Distinct, I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye out on both of our Distinct teams.
I
But
guess.
yeah, Twitchy has a decent amount of pace, and Jeesh is supposed to be within his pace as well. So hopefully they can contend for some top spots. And Hosky, unfortunately, having to drive by himself, but hopefully the 4 hours that he'll be driving on his own, just about, won't be too much.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that there are so many drivers from the same team probably helped them figure out the strategy and stuff. So we can probably expect them to maybe be on the same strategy, or maybe they figured multiple things that could work, and they will not put all their eggs in the same bags.
Yeah, hopefully not, especially with Hosky having that unfortunate 20-second
Yeah.
penalty in the pits. So he's likely going to have to change any
Yeah.
strat that they may have matched up to Twitchy and Jeesh, but we will definitely see. I know
Yep.
I did a solo 4-hour endurance once, and it was quite interesting. So I'm sure he's going to need to just go right to sleep after this one.
And obviously, the the weather will not be fixed. So for the
Yeah.
most part, it will be a complete surprise. But I'm pretty sure that they did set up some spicy stuff. And the lobby is apparently on, so I guess we will start the race very, very shortly.
Yeah, it appears that everything's working as designed. Hopefully, delays.
Yep. So I hope you're having a great time, and hope it will only get better when we start the race. You can see the overlay, and you have the cars, and we are about to start the race.
Here
So
we
now
go.
on board with B Racer in the Honda, and now on board back to Josete in P1.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say welcome in to anybody who's chatting in the chat up, and I will be occasionally checking throughout the race.
Yep, we can answer your questions, and don't hesitate to type in the YouTube chat. So we have a formation lap with a safety car that has the IGTL livery, and we can see all the cars behind lined up trying to...
Oh, a little bit of lag there.
Yep, I guess the lobby is hanging out for his life.
Yep.
Let's
Hopefully we
hope.
don't have any disconnects.
Yeah, let's hope we don't have any disconnects, because that would be a very bad start, let's say.
You can already see a lot of them swerving, trying to get those tires warmed up and ready to go by the end of this formation lap here.
Yeah, I guess maybe the lag can be caused by the fact we get a lot of cars at the same position on the track, and all swerving probably causes the server to heat up a bit.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So the first two are in the NSX, third car is a GTR, so yeah, it's not a complete domination from the NSXs.
Yeah. It seems pretty intermixed, so it should be good.
I mean, I'm expecting them to take it safe. I mean, at least for the top 5 at the start. But then when you enter the realms of P7 to P12, I'm not really sure that they will wait before they try to pass.
Yeah, I mean, it is a very long race here, so do not have to make any drastic moves within the first couple of laps. There's plenty of time to make up positions, get those battles in, and give us all some great content.
And the safety car is out, so now it's Josete who decides when he wants to go, basically. Everyone lines up, and we will soon have the first full throttle of the race. And we are green, so let's see if anyone changes position before turn 1. I'm not sure anyone tried to pass, so yeah, pretty safe into turn 1. And now it's a matter of finding your pace, maybe finding the train that you will be in for the stint, trying to decide if you need to pass the guy in front or need to stay behind to save a bit of fuel, or maybe to keep those tires a bit alive for the end of the stint.
Yeah, definitely. I saw some of them hopping that sausage curve there on the corner, which is pretty bold. That curve can get the cars very unstable. So, I mean, obviously, a lot of them are very skilled drivers here, so I'm sure they know what they're doing. But we'll see if that causes any drama at any point during the race as well.
Yep. And we see the Vanquish Esport team already up one spot from the Balam Digital Motorsport team. So, as I said, everyone in this lobby is pretty fast, so it's, I guess, a matter of seeing what's the pace of the Vanquish Esport team. And we already have a battle for P1. B-Racer took the lead, and Josete is right behind him.
Ooh, a little bit loose on that corner exit, but holds on to it and is holding on to that P1. Very nicely done.
And we see Josete maybe still trying to get some heat in the tires. Also, as you can see, everyone uses the maximum amount of curb that they can to extend the track limits to be able to be the fastest possible in those corners. Valerio electing to get over the curb. I mean, you really have to be precise, otherwise it can end up very badly, but apparently he did it well, at least for this lap, but it's only the second of his 50 laps stint.
Yeah, definitely plenty of time and plenty of race to go.
And already we have a first 5-car train. Ooh, with a bit of contact.
Oh
So
boy.
maybe some people trying to get some positions early.
Yeah, it seems like some of them are already racing elbows out in lap 2.
I mean, they're all very fast, so they probably know that they have to. Ooh, yep,
Ooh,
that was a bit.
a
It
little
was a bit
rough.
scary. Yeah, I'm not sure the Spanish guy really liked that. And
Most likely not.
yeah, that's a yeah, that's a move with a bit of contact.
Whoa!
Oh, that was
Oh
that was
boy.
a really bad rejoin. I think it was the SRC car. Yep, he probably lost it at the end of the lap, last corner, probably.
Oh, and
As we
distinct
saw, yeah.
Twitchy taking the fast lap at a 125.4. Very nicely.
So that's our first fastest lap of the race. And yeah, as we saw, the SRC car, he lost it, and yep, the region was pretty bad because he went into another car. I think. I hope there was not too many victims. But did you see the sky recently? Because
It's
I
getting a
think
little
the sun,
cloudy.
yeah, the sun disappeared. So that could probably be a pretty early rain time.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, if it doesn't rain, now that the clouds have come in, the track temperature may cool down a little bit. So some of them may be a bit more slip and slide in, especially if they're on that harder compound.
Yep, and as we saw, you can choose between hard, inters, and wets. So when the rain starts, it's a matter of how long do you stay out, and if you finally come in the pits, do you use the inters or do you use the wets, according to what you see on the radar. But then you're not sure.
Yeah, Gran
Drivers
Turismo
will.
Italia giving a good shout in chat saying Sora has gained 4 positions within the 2 laps. He is definitely doing a great job and great pace.
Yep, the Vanquish Esports team, as we mentioned, they were not able to take part in the qualifying, so they started in last place. And we expected them to have strong pace, but yeah, he's doing really well. Ooh, that was maybe a cut from B-Racer, or maybe it was a bit of lag that made us think that. And Twitchy keeping up with the top two. That's very strong pace that he's showing now.
Yeah, the 3 of them definitely trying to stay within each other's drafts. I have a feeling we're going to see them tossing positions back and forth between the 3 of them, at
Yeah.
least a lot during this first stint.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that they will try to follow each other to like not lose time. Remember that it's a 100 laps race, no need to risk anything. But we see the cars having the we see more and more light coming from the headlights, which means that the sky and the weather gets. Oh, B-Racer at the spin.
No, he is in the wall. Unfortunate.
Yep, I mean, he has strong pace. We can expect him to climb back up at least to top 3, I guess. He's not that far away, but
Yeah, I mean, decent recovery. He only fell down to P6, so there's
yep,
definitely room for him to get those positions back before the end of this stint.
yep. Oh, and we have an early pit stop.
Maybe putting on the wets?
I'm not sure. I think it was hards. I don't know. I
I
don't know
didn't
if we
see any
can.
texturing on the tires,
Yeah,
but
that's what I was thinking. So, yep, we will have to see.
very interesting.
Yep, as we expected, we can see the sky getting darker and darker. So we can
Very
expect
hazy as well.
some rain.
Yeah. And
And
Hospi
yep,
having to play the defensive line here to
he
keep his 7th position. Oh, getting a little slidey,
yeah.
but holds on to it.
Remember that he will be alone for the whole race, so he will have to manage. And we see the wipers coming on the cars, which means rain has arrived.
We just got word that Sakura has been confirmed to be on inters, and he is wearing them down pretty fast.
Yeah, he probably tried to like get them early to have an advantage after, but yeah, if he wears them very quickly, as they were very quickly on a dry track, maybe his strategy will backfire. Oh, and the car
Ooh, that
coming.
hop
Yeah,
with
airborne.
Twitchy.
Yes, as Artemis mentioned, this curb can be very dangerous. With the Valerio already trying to get a position back.
Side by side going into
Yeah, and
the hairpin here.
I would guess that the other NSX did not really defend that hard, knowing it was B-Racer behind, and that it would only lose them both time if he tried to defend.
It was a very awesome pass done there by B-Racer on that hairpin. Very close coming out on exit, but he got it just in time.
Yeah, it seems like the NSX is a bit tricky on the corner exits. Oh, a bit of a slide for the GTR of the Yasheat team. As we expected, a lot of small groups of cars scattered around the track, and apart from the Vanquish team, I think nobody went into the pits yet.
Yeah, I think it was just them trying to get onto those inters early, but I mean, it doesn't seem like it's really raining that heavy, so I'm wondering if that was the proper call.
Yeah, we'll have to see how it pays out for him, but as the track seems still to be pretty dry, I'm afraid his tires will be worn very quickly, and even if the rain starts and lasts for quite some time, he won't be able to take them to the end of the rain stint.
Yeah, we're on board here with B-Racer. He is really closing into that P4. He wants that position back, so I wouldn't be surprised to see if he tries to put on an overtake within the next lap or two.
Yeah, we can expect him to have a better pace compared to the guys that he's currently facing.
Ooh, and here we go, side by side.
Yeah, in that.
Wow.
That was a very nice overtake, and we can give a shout out to the Spanish driver too for staying very clean.
Yeah, and you saw him moving over there to try and keep him out of the slipstream as he wants to run away now with that P4.
And I think that there's no rain anymore.
Yeah, it looks like it's getting dry again, so I wouldn't be surprised if was it TX3?
It was the Vanquish.
VQS. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they went back into the pits to get back onto those slick tires.
That was not the right call. I mean, it was a risky call, but better take the risk now lap 5, 6 of the race than taking it lap 95 of the race.
Yeah, that's for sure. Now is definitely the time to be a bit more risky with your different decisions, and you definitely have plenty of time to make up for it if you
Yeah,
make the wrong call.
we just saw the gap between B Racer and the car in P1, which is Rosete, and it was only 7.3 seconds. So, all in all, B Racer didn't lose that much time in his spin, and I'm kind of expecting him to be able to come back. We will see how it goes until, I mean, he has until lap 50 to get back on top. So,
Yeah. Just
oh,
until lap
Twitchy.
15, just to get that position back and have his teammates start off in a better place for the next
Yep,
50.
for Stint too. We saw Twitchy go a bit on the grass, and there was still a lot of water on there, so probably
Whew.
better avoiding that.
And Zete setting another fast lap with a 125. He is really trying to run away from Twitchy there. He wants to hold on to that P1.
Yeah, and Twitchy, very good work from him, being able to stay in the slipstream of Rosete. I guess that's probably what he expected to be able to do, and I'm not sure he will try to attack because we didn't see him come very close to Rosete yet, so probably he's happy to sit behind in the slipstream and get dragged along.
Yeah, I mean, he
Sorry.
may be trying to use that slipstream to try and stretch out whatever fuel that he has as long as possible. Try and make that pit stop when they do have to pit stop a little bit shorter.
Yep, he's probably saving a bit of fuel, as you were saying, and it can really help because if the rain does come, he will have less fuel to put in the car, and he probably will have more options than Rosete in terms of strategy then.
Yeah, I mean, Josete is definitely having to push being out in that first position right now. He has no slip to use for him. Say that Twitchy's in a pretty good spot right now.
Yep. And we just saw the Pokemon liveried GTR. Oh, and Twitchy with the fastest lap. Again, he's taking
125.1.
it back to his name. So, yep, the slipstream seems to really help in terms of staying, keeping up the pace. I guess they are getting away from the other cars, probably
Little
expect
roots
from the
coming out of that
racing.
hairpin.
Yeah, the NSX looks a bit sketchy coming out of some corners.
Yeah, it can definitely be a bit stiff of a car to drive sometimes, which sounds very odd considering it has that lift off oversteer, but it definitely be a little bit unpredictable at times.
And we saw the Pokemon
And we've
liveried
got
GTR
so
being in
close. We almost
P3.
had an overtake by, yeah, I think that's Yasi in P10.
Yep.
Definitely looking up that inside of Balam Digital.
So in terms of the overall rankings now, Rossetti kept up his P1, to which he made a good first 10 laps, so he's now in P2. The French team with Antonio and Meri in the GTR, they climbed up to P3, which is really good. B Racer had an issue.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, I guess that's just server lag there.
yeah, it seems like based on the
Yeah,
sound it made, that was some
yeah,
lag, but that was
yeah.
definitely startling, to say the least.
And then for the second half of the field, the cars all got a bit. The position changed a bit, and unfortunately for Vanquish Esport, they had a very good first, let's say, 5 laps, and then they made the wrong strategy call, which sent them back to last. But we saw Sakura's pace. I'm pretty sure he will be able to catch up to some of the cars before the end of the stint.
Yeah, I mean, we still have like a good 39 laps to go in this stint, so
Yeah.
definitely has some time to make up those positions yet again.
The SRC car having some issue early with the spin at a corner that seems to be pretty dangerous because it caught out already two cars. One
Yep.
of them being the Italian car with B Racer driving it, so pretty dangerous the exit of the last corner.
Yeah. And here we see Josete and Twitchy yet again. Twitchy is still trying to stay within that slipstream. I'm sure the two of them are trying to get that gap built and ensure that they can stay ahead of B Racer.
Yeah, because for now they are driving pretty much the perfect race for them. I mean, P1 and P2 not fighting, trying to build some gap. Remember that the gaps starting Stint 2 are the same as the ones when the drivers where the driver finish in the Stint 1, so it's pretty important to build some gap. And obviously in Stint 2, all the drivers being different, we can expect some differences in pace compared to what we are seeing right now in the first part of the race.
Yeah, the two of them just absolutely killing it so far this race. And just working together.
Yeah, that's the main thing. They are not fighting, so they are not losing time. And yeah, as you can see, Twitchy coming very close on that straight, but choosing to stay behind. I guess he thinks that Rosete is faster than him in clean air, so he prefers to stay behind. And
Oh, but Twitchy hitting that
lowers,
fast lap yet again, almost at that 24 mark.
Yeah, he lowers
Impressive.
the fast time, and B Racer coming close to P3 now.
Yeah, I'm sure he is pushing very hard. He may be flip, before maybe he was trying to save. Well, I'm sure at this point he is pushing to try and get
Yeah.
those positions back.
Would be pretty interesting to see the evolution of his gap compared to Rosete, to see if he's going faster overall, because obviously we see Twitchy getting fastest laps, so they probably have a very strong pace, and would be pretty interesting to see if B Racer is able to stay at least within the same margins compared to P1.
Yeah, I mean, like, especially now that he's got P3 in his sights, he may lose some time there with trying to overtake, depending on, whether or not the opportunity really presents itself or if he fight for that position. Yeah, and we can see here the current gap. He is 7 points behind Josete in P1,
Yeah,
so he's going to be trying to make up those 7 seconds.
Yeah, it was 7.3 before, so around like 5 or 6 laps ago, I think it was 7.3. So they are on the same pace now. B Racer, as you said, will probably lose maybe a bit of time in this overtake, or maybe
and
he went in the
lap.
24s. Yeah,
first person in the 24s.
I expect Antonio to let him go, to be honest. Yeah, as he does, because there's no point fighting with him. He knows that he's faster. He probably saw the gap shrinking very fast behind him.
Yeah.
So now he will probably try to do the same as Twitchy is doing with Rosete and get dragged along to try and catch up to that duo in P1 and P2.
Yeah, it definitely seems like we're going to have two duos here, with one of them trying to catch up. If they get up there, then it's definitely going to be a battle between the four of them. But definitely a good shout for Antonio to stay behind and try and get as much of that slip as possible and help his pace along as well.
Yeah, we will see if he's able to stay in that slipstream. Obviously, Antonio being the first GTR in the race, we will see if the fact that he has it may be a bit easier on the straights, help him stay in the slipstream of B Racer.
Yep, and then in P5 we have Owls. Oh, and Twitchy hitting 4.8. He is not letting up anytime soon.
Yep, maybe they just saw the fast lap from B Racer and Rosete decided to push a little bit more with Twitchy in his slipstream.
Ooh, getting a little loose there in P6. but
And
hanging on to it.
yeah, they're all a bit scary sometimes, but no one so far having a terrible mistake. B-Racer, a little spin that sent him back to P6 it was, and now back to P3. And I mean, the biggest incident we saw was the SRC car having a spin at the same corner, the last corner of the track, and then a little bit of an issue when rejoining on in the pack.
Yeah, and Hosky holding onto that P7 very nicely. It appears that he's got a pretty good gap in front and behind. Not necessarily ideal in front because he's not going to have slipstream, but at least behind he doesn't have to worry about anybody immediately and driving defensively.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's better for him as he has to keep some energy for the second part of the race because he will also drive the next 50 laps. I mean, he will technically drive the next 84 laps alone. So, yeah, better for him to have a bit of a relaxed first stint at least.
Yeah.
And
That's
yeah,
for sure.
the gap in front, 6.2 seconds right now.
Yeah, so he's definitely got that cushion. Gives him a little bit of an opportunity to just kind of find his rhythm and stick with it during the next 80 or so laps.
We see that Antonio is looking to be able to stay in slipstream. Not sure he will hang. Oh,
Ooh,
was
that rejoin was a little
yeah.
risky, but it's
Um,
okay.
I yeah, I think he really went off, and Twitchy takes the opportunity with the dirty tires of Rosete.
Yep.
So yeah, and he's trying to clean them. So yeah, at first I thought it was a bit of lag, but he really went off apparently. And ooh, that was
Might be a
very
little bit
wide.
wide.
So now that Twitchy is in front, we will have to see if Rosete is able to catch again. I think he's still in the slipstream. And then if that happens, will Twitchy let him go or will he defend this time?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they'll keep working as a team. I mean, it seems like they were doing a pretty good job to begin with. So, I feel like it would be a good thing if the two of them kept working together and Josete stays in the slipstream. But obviously, if there's a notable difference in pace, then whoever's faster should be leading the group.
Yep. And all of this is helping B-Racer catching the duo
Yeah.
in the front. Now the gap 6.5 seconds, so this little wide track that Rosete took lost them around a second, I would say. And we will now see the gap compared to Twitchy, how it evolves. And it seems like Rosete is struggling to stay in the slipstream of Twitchy, so maybe
Yeah, I
he's
mean, that first
taking a
lap with
bit
the dirty
safe.
tires, maybe a couple of issues getting those tires clean. Right
And
back to
with
pushing here.
yeah, with these cars having that much downforce, the dirty tires really makes you lose a lot of time.
Yeah, really adds to that slip angle that you don't want.
Yeah. And yeah, Twitchy, honestly, doing a great work in that race so far.
Yeah, let's see how he holds on to this P1 during this stint. Obviously, he would like to give his teammate the P1 when they switch positions here, but yeah.
So far, in terms of weather, we have a dry track. We had a bit of rain that caught out Vanquish Esports in terms of strategy. They are still in last. It could be interesting to see the gaps between them and the SRC car to see if
Yeah, see if they're
they are,
catching.
yeah, to see if they are coming close to them and not too far from the overtake.
Yeah, and we have the sun now, but who knows in a couple of laps if the rain will return. Maybe we'll just get some clouds.
Looks like now all the cars are pretty much driving alone on track, apart from a few duos here and there. But
Yep.
it looks like everyone is pretty much alone. Little battle here for P9 between the Balam team and Yas Heat.
And the Balam team has their hazards on.
Oh, yep, yeah, that's right. In terms of fuel and tires, I'm not really sure when we are gonna see the cars coming in from for their first, let's say, scheduled pit stop, because they probably figured out how many laps they can do with one fuel tank. But again, the rain could very well shake up all their plans.
Yeah, I mean, and they're all on the hard tires at this point, so we're definitely expecting the hard tires to last a decent amount of time.
Oh,
Oh,
Rosette in the wall.
Jose's in the wall.
Oh, and he's not moving.
I wonder if this is a
Could
disconnect.
be, yeah. No, I wouldn't say it's a disconnect. I would say, oh
Oh,
yeah, that's a full disconnect.
disconnect.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe it's a wheel issue because he was stuck in the wall and
Yeah.
not moving. But yeah, seems like it's a complete disconnect. That's a shame to see them disconnect. They will probably, yeah, they will start last for the Stint 2 and will probably get quite some time to climb back during the last 50 laps of the race.
Yeah. And unfortunate for Twitchy now too. I mean, he but now he's just gonna have to hold off B Racer.
Yep, and I'm pretty sure that B Racer will want to get in front now and try to build a very, very large gap to get his teammate in the best of positions, because now that Rosette is not anymore in that stint, he probably thinks that he can build up a gap in P1, because I'm pretty sure he's catching up to Twitchy. I would like to maybe see the gap. It was 6.5 seconds before, so would be interesting to see how fast he can catch, and maybe we'll get a surprise to see that Twitchy is having the same pace.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like they were pretty similar, although each had slip at different times. So we'll see. Now they're both pretty much on their own and having to run their pace by themselves.
Yep, that's the money time for B Racer. I would say we'll have to push a bit and catch up to that P1. And the Yas Heat team got in front of the Balami Sport, I think.
Yeah, it appears so.
So
Yeah, we got news that Josete has been DC'd and he was also streaming and it died.
Yeah, so that's probably not a Gran Turismo server issue. That's probably his own, maybe internet or maybe an issue regarding a power cut at his house. Unfortunately,
Yeah, very
for him.
unfortunate.
I mean, for once that it's not the server disconnect.
Yeah, I feel like we always just assume it's a Gran Turismo server issue.
But it's going on fine.
And you really see B Racer just using absolutely every spare inch of that track, even dipping his tires into the grass at times, which is just impressive.
And it looks like Antonio is not losing that much time compared to B Racer, so he could well end this stint in a very good position.
Yeah, and Twitchy maintaining a 6.7 second lead in front of B Racer, which is definitely going to be difficult to close.
And it looks like they are on around the same pace, because again the gap a few laps ago was 6.5 seconds, so it looks like Twitchy is doing a very, very, very good stint.
Yeah, and it looks like it's getting cloudy again.
Yep, the sun disappeared. I mean, We will see if this time people make the right strategical. Ooh,
Yeah,
and
we'll see this
Antonio.
time if it's gonna
Yeah.
be some actual heavy rain, or are they gonna stay out and risk it?
Yeah, I mean, it will all be about when they will decide to pit, because as we mentioned during the quali, as soon as the line starts to be wet and you're on the slick tires, then you're entering the Shadow Realm pretty surely.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So yeah, a lot of cars alone now. We had a few trains in at the beginning of the race, and now it seems that everyone found their own pace basically, and we have different cars. Obviously, a shame that we lost the Spanish team so early with Rosete and Manu Rodri, but they will probably get a good second part, and we already have our first pit stop for this
Yeah,
incoming
maybe
rain.
looking to get some of those tires. It'll be interesting to see if they want to go on heavy wets.
Yeah, I think that people who stop this early will go on inters, and yeah, we see they are refueling quite a lot. So
And we've got two in
probably,
the pits
yeah,
now. We've also got owls in the pits.
they probably were pretty low on fuel, and they would have had to pit anyway pretty soon, I guess. So maybe this rain comes at the right time for everyone.
Oh, and here is the rain. I can hear it.
Yeah, I think this green, yeah, it's TX3. I would have guessed, and
Yep.
now we have proper rain on the track.
Yeah, it doesn't look like real mist anymore. It looks pretty heavy rain coming. How
Yeah, and
long it'll.
this time with all the cars coming into the pits, I would guess that this rain is gonna last for at least a few more laps. Because the first time it was only Vanquish coming in the pits, and now pretty much everyone went to change the tires. And it looks like it's pretty heavy rain too.
Yeah, it definitely looks
Oh,
like we
yep,
might be seeing some slipping and sliding here.
and Twitchy in the pit lane to get his own set of wet tires.
Yep, looks
So
like he's filling up with some fuel as well to finish out this stint.
and B Racer too, obviously. No one choosing to stay one more lap on track.
Honestly, with the looks of that rain, I don't even think you could
Yeah,
if you wanted to.
yeah. Oh, and B Racer went in front of
Ooh,
Twitchy, so it means
yeah,
he.
coming out of the pits just ahead.
Yep. And remember, he was like 6 seconds behind, so he must have put a lot less fuel in the car. We'll see how it goes. My guess is that B Racer will try to maybe get Twitchy off his slipstream and build a gap to be able to keep in first when he has to refuel a lot. Oh, and we see
Ooh,
they have to adjust to these rain lines.
oh yeah. Definitely looks like very heavy rain. Even with
Yeah,
wet tires, there may be some slipping and sliding still.
yeah. Lot of water on the track, but is it still really raining? I'm not even sure. I don't see the raindrops on the windshields, and I don't see the wipers when we are on board, so I'm not really sure.
Interesting.
Maybe that's why B Racer decided to take less fuel, because he saw that it was not gonna last for a long time, and maybe he could build a few seconds gap during that short amount of wet track. I don't know. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, it seems like the rain has stopped, but the track is still very wet, so I'm wondering if and or when they'll be coming back into the pits.
Yep, it will probably be a matter of are you brave enough to risk the slick tires with only a small dry line?
Yeah. Yeah, we can start to see some of that dry line attempting to form. There's a little bit of lightning here on the track in
Yep.
certain areas.
And I see in chat people asking for Josete disconnection. It looks like it was from his side and not from the server side, because apparently even his own stream shut down at the same time as he disconnected.
Yeah. And we are hitting the halfway mark here in the first stint.
Yep. So far, a lot of things happened. We had a
Mhm.
few crashes. We had the unfortunate disconnection of Josete. And it looks like the Yas Heat team had an issue because they are now in P11 behind the SRC team.
Yeah, and
And now they are
TX3 is
back in
hitting
P10.
again.
I think maybe there was some kind of issue. Maybe they had an issue being on slick tires when the rain started, and a few slides here and there lost them a bit of time.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. I mean, anything can happen in the rain.
And it looks like the TX3 team decided to go back on slicks already. So a bit brave, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely see like there is that dry line there, but the second you touch those
Yeah.
curves, you still see all that water. So,
The issue for him is that even if he manages to stay on that line, as soon as he will catch another car, he will not be able to overtake.
yeah, I mean, there's really no other like options in terms of race line for him at this
Yeah.
moment. It's just strictly the dry line.
Yeah, we see he's taking it pretty slow to make sure that he stays in that on that line, and we see that the top three are actually, I think, catching him. So yep, will be interesting to see how everyone handles that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw him.
Yeah, it seems like the leaders are coming up on some of the people towards the back of the pack here. So,
Yep, we will see how it goes. Just to mention, I think that there is probably a glitchy tire issue, because when we see the tires that would be wet tires put on the cars, it looks like it's slicks instead. And oh, yep, the TX3 car. Oh,
oh,
yeah, as we said,
unfortunate.
was pretty brave. I mean, to be fair, I think he had that mistake, that second one at least, because he tried to avoid impeding the faster car approaching. So fair play to him. But I think the first mistake was probably caused because he went on the wet line in that first corner.
Yeah.
Looks
Yeah, and
like
we can see
Antonio is
P3
ending
still
up
hanging
there.
on.
Yeah,
He's last time we checked, I believe he was about 3 seconds off of P1. So it'll be
looks
interesting to
like.
see if he can put some laps down and close that gap a bit now that the
I mean,
track's drying again.
I'm expecting at least one of our top three to get in the pits this lap, to be honest. One of them
Yeah,
will
most
try
likely.
something. Maybe most. Maybe Twitchy and Antonio are waiting for B Racer to get in to kind of copy his strategy. Twitchy, remember, has a lot more fuel than B Racer, so he
Yeah, it's
should
possible
get
we
out
could
of
see
the
another
pit.
pit
Yeah,
switcheroo.
yeah. We won't
Yep,
have
it
to
looks like
wait
they
for
are
a long
all
time.
going in.
The main issue now will be the pit exit, because
Yeah.
a lot of rain still there. So it would be interesting to stay on them to be able to see how they handle that pit exit that will be still very wet on their new slick tires.
Yeah, and it seems like towards the back of the grid here, some of the gaps have closed. They're not quite as far apart from each other. That rain seems to be an equalizing factor to a degree.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of cars changed position, and actually B Racer went in P3 after that stop, so he had to put more fuel. Now we know that he has more pace than Antonio, but it will be pretty hard to overtake due to the fact that most of the track is still wet, so none of them can really take that wet line with their new slick tires. Otherwise, it's pretty much over for them.
Yeah, that's for sure. And, you know, he may also try and stay in the same of Antonio during this time while the track is just try and see if, you know, maybe bump draft a little bit.
Yeah,
Close that gap to P1.
I I mean, I think that he knows that he could probably catch up to P1, and we are not sure that Antonio is able to catch to Twitchy, so it will be an important decision to take when he decides to overtake, because it could very well ruin his race. But we will see how he handles that. I'm pretty sure he's already thinking about it, and we'll see in the next few laps how it goes.
Yep.
But
Yeah, we got
going
P9,
out,
P8
yeah,
pretty steady.
they are pretty close, and the SRC team seems to have handled the rain pretty well, because they were P11 before that, I think, or
Yeah, it seems
maybe,
like they
yeah,
had a pretty good
P10.
recovery,
Yeah,
especially since that incident towards the beginning of the race. They've
and
recovered
more
back up to
so
P8.
the Vanquish Esports team, because they are now P7. They were basically last before the rain started. So seems like this time they got the right calls.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely a great way to see how your strat can really change the order of things and change how the outlook of your race is.
Yep. We'll have to see if they maybe some cars still need to pit for the slicks, though. I'm not really sure, because
Yeah,
there
I mean,
are
at least we
errors.
know for sure that the top three are on slicks. And we did see a couple of others hitting, but unsure if the entire grid is on
Yeah,
slicks.
looks like Antonio is trying to start to go defensive. Oh,
Ooh,
and B
a
Racer
little bit
taking the
wide.
inside. I think it's more B Racer forcing the issue there. Was a very clean move, very well done by B
Yeah.
Racer.
And honestly, at this point, like Antonio can leverage advantage. He can try and stay within that slip and take advantage of B Racer's faster pace.
Yeah, of course.
Get towed along, hopefully up to P1.
hmm Now the issue is probably the curbs maybe start to be dry, but I would not advise to put one wheel in this very wet grass, because otherwise we could see a lot of spins and some that won't add up really well.
Yep, and Twitchy's still holding on to that P1 for now. He's maintaining a 1.2 second gap. Actually, is that a minute and
Ah, that
23
yeah,
seconds to P11?
that's the gap to P11. Yeah,
Gotcha.
1:23. Yeah, so gap to the TX3 car is 1 minute 23, which means that we can probably see him in front, I would say, because 1:24 was our fastest lap earlier. Yeah, he's just right there, so right in front.
Yeah, I mean, this should be very interesting too because, you know, Twitchy coming up to the back of the pack maybe could get some slip, or if he has to get around them, that may also cause some slowdown on his part, and then you may
Yeah,
see that gap close to P2.
yeah, we'll have to see if everyone respects the blue flags, basically.
Yeah.
Antonio hanging on to B Racer. He's doing a very good job at staying in the slipstream.
Ooh, touched a little bit of the grass there. I wonder if he got
Yeah,
loose.
it looks like Antonio might be on pace with him actually, so maybe we'll try to overtake again. I'm not really sure about that.
Ooh, a little bit of lag there.
Yeah. So far, the Vanquish Esports team still in P7, so looks like they handled the rain pretty well, and that they don't have to pit again for the slick tires, because I would guess he would have lost a lot of positions if he was still on Inters by now.
Yeah, that's for sure. Now the track seems to be completely dry. Very nice and warm and
Oh, I
sunny
think we
again.
saw Yeah, we saw a slide in the background from the SRC car.
That looked a
Look,
lot worse than
yeah,
it ended up
yeah.
being.
I think he caught that pretty well.
Definitely.
Still the Balam team hanging around P9, P10. Yes, Heat looks like P10, P. Yeah, these three teams, Balam, Yes, Heat, and TX3, uh, changing positions between P8 and P11 from the start of the race. Looks like,
Yeah.
and with a 8.9 seconds gap to P9 for the Yas Heat team. Obviously, a lot of these guys are quite new to the IGTL events, so it's
Yeah,
a
we've definitely had a
learning,
lot of newcomers.
yeah, learning experience for them. So obviously, they are trying to get the best out of their race and learn as much as they can to maybe compete higher in the rankings for the future events.
Yeah, and it seems like Twitchy has gotten around that back marker pretty
And
smooth, and the back
yeah,
marker moving over for B
he's
Racer and Antonio. Very nice.
very good sportsmanship from the TX3 drivers. Usually, very clean drivers driving for TX3. So not a surprise to see them doing these kinds of moves. And we are back to very sunny again.
Yeah. Very nice and sunny. But we still have a decent amount of laps left stint,
Yeah,
so we'll see if there's any other weather change tricks up the organizers' sleeves.
yeah, because we already had two rain showers in 33 laps. So if we take the average, that's probably one every around 12, 14 laps. So still plenty of time to get one more rain time before the end of this stint.
Yep, that is for sure. And we can
And
see here that Antonio is still hanging on to the back of B Racer very
yeah,
well.
I was gonna say he's doing better than in the first part of this little duo battle, because last time he was I think he was dropped from the slipstream, and this time he's hanging on pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah, it
Would
seems like
also
he definitely found his rhythm now. He's settled in. He's ready to finish out this stint, hopping that curb absolutely confidently.
yeah, every time they do that, it's pretty scary for us, but I guess
Yeah.
they trained for it. And yeah, would be quite interested to see the gap between Twitchy and B-Racer, because before their pit stop and refueling shenanigans, they were like 6.2 seconds apart, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I
So
believe it was around there.
yeah, it would be interesting to see how much it is now to be able to figure out the rhythm of everyone.
Yeah, it looks like they're coming up on another back marker here, so we'll have to see if they move over. And it looks like Eraser is flashing those headlights, asking him, "Hey, please, can you get out of the way?"
Probably they will probably pass in the next pit straight, and now the gap is only 3.2 seconds. So all in
Yeah, we
all,
see him
during that
moving
rain
over.
time, yeah, B Racer gained 3 seconds from the start of the last time we got rain. So little gains from B Racer.
Yeah, I find it interesting that we haven't seen any other fastest laps set yet.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, they probably refueled to be able to get to the end of the stint, or maybe they will have to do one more short pit stop. So they are probably quite heavy on fuel. And also,
Oh, and some very
yeah,
nice side by side with B Racer and
talking
Antonio, with
about
Antonio setting that
yeah, talking
fastest
about
lap.
fast lap, 24/7 in the slipstream of B Racer.
Very well
Yeah,
done.
I guess fuel starting to drop some weight, and we will get back to setting up fast laps in the slipstream. Because yeah, we have to remember also that the fast laps at the beginning of the race were all pretty much set when in slipstream. So now that
Yeah.
pretty much all the cars except from B Racer and Antonio are uh, alone on track, I would guess it's pretty normal. We don't see fast laps, and now that they start fighting, I'm not sure we will see fast laps soon.
Yeah, it seems like Antonio's not willing to stay in that group anymore. He really wants that P2.
Yep, he probably thinks that he can try to catch up to Twitchy, but this battle really favors Twitchy now, because he will be able to extend his gap,
Yeah,
and
any type of back and
it will
forth
be
that
good.
they have, they are just giving tenths to Twitchy.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they will continue fighting like that, but it looks like B Racer has to be very defensive at the end of the straights. Oh, I think Antonio spun. Yep,
Oh, man,
I
that curb on the
yeah.
exit there is
Careful on
absolutely
the
ruthless.
rejoin. Yep, all good. Yeah, I heard it. We only saw B
Yeah.
Racer exiting, and I heard tire screeching, and yeah,
Yeah, I was
that's
like, oh
unfortunate.
no.
Uh, a lot of our battles are getting cut down by spins in this first stint.
Yeah, I mean, this track is also notorious for having a couple curbs
Yeah,
aggressive and very tricky to get just right.
we haven't talked much about Oles team. They are having a pretty nice race in P4 and like not making any mistake, not shining through, but doing their race, doing their own thing, and seems like it's paying off for them now.
Yeah, it seems like they've been having a very clean race, just settling. Unfortunately, with that, accident from Antonio, at least for them, it's a good thing because now they
Yeah,
have him in their sights. So we may see Owls promote themselves up to P3.
yeah, and also Husky P6 alone. I guess he will be pretty happy with what he's doing. I
Yeah,
would
very nicely done.
like to see the gap between him and the first car that's 20 seconds from him, because he will obviously get a 20-second penalty at the end of this stint because he's driving alone. So it would be interesting to
Woo!
see the gap with the cars behind, to see if he will keep his P6 or if he will drop some positions at the start. Okay, so for now, so that's the gap in front. So it's 10 seconds to P5. And I would guess that the Vanquish team will be able to catch to him before the end of the stint, but we will see how the gap is looking for now.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like Sakura had a
Yeah, it's
decent amount of pace.
26 seconds for now.
Interesting. Yeah, so I mean, if Houskin can stay consistent and maintain that gap, he'll come out good 6 seconds ahead of Sakura.
Yep. And it looks like behind Sakura there is pretty much no one. Okay, so the SRC car, probably like 7, 8, around that, 7, 8. And we see Twitchy in the background, already catching up to P9 and P8.
Yep. Yeah, he is absolutely blazing trying to finish up this stint here with a good gap to P2.
And now I guess B Racer will want to try and reduce that gap so that he can get his teammate in the best of position for the start of the second stint. Because now that he doesn't have to care about Antonio anymore, he will be able to get on his pace again and try and bridge that gap. So 3.5 seconds So maybe that battle didn't really lose them time, or it's B Racer that is faster since Antonio had his spin.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely one less thing that he has to worry about. He's by himself at this point, so just running as fast as he can by himself. Only downside is he's got no draft to help him out a little bit.
Yep, that will be a little factor, and we will have to also be careful about the back markers, because if they catch them at the wrong time, then they can lose a bit. Because I would say that if they start to catch the back markers in that multiple right-handers corner, may it may not help them.
Yeah, and it seems like they have been tracking B Racer's pace, and it looks like he's been catching Twitchy by about zero point 0.2 seconds per lap for the past couple of laps in a row. But it
So
also seems like Twitchy is pushing, as apparently he is currently purple right now on track to
oh,
set a fast lap.
okay. So we will have to see at the end of this lap then. But if B Racer catches zero point 0.2 per lap, then he won't be able to catch by the end of the stint, because there's only, I think, I would say 11 laps left now that Twitchy crossed the line. So, yep, we
20
will have
laps,
to.
or 10 laps, math.
Yeah, but there's D40s lap and D50s lap to do.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm not sure about this, but we will have to see.
Either way, I mean, even if B Racer can just catch and close that gap a little bit, he's still going to hand off the position. Even if he is still in P2, that's a great position for his teammate to start from.
Yeah, obviously they still gained position, so
Hmm.
that's already a very good first stint. Obviously, if he keeps that spot for the remainder of this stint.
Yeah, and Owl still remaining consistent, holding on to that P4 with Jensen Taylor behind him in P5.
Yep. These guys are running their own race basically, and keeping it on the track, which is probably the most important in an endurance race.
Yeah. At the end of the day, with endurance, like, you don't necessarily have to be the fastest. If you're very consistent, very clean, have minimal mistakes, then you can take advantage of other people's mistakes.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much how Twitch is where he is right now. B-Racer had a spin. Josete made a little mistake that helped Twitchy get in front. Then obviously he had his disconnect, but Twitchy was already in front. So yeah, so far he is the only one of our top 3 on pace runners that didn't make any big mistake. So that's why he's P1 right now.
Yeah, that consistency is definitely paying off.
Back marker behind, in front of B Racer.
Yeah, it seems like Twitchy was able to get
Ooh,
by pretty easily. Ooh, a little bit
yeah.
of a slide there.
This car seems, yeah,
Ooh.
starting to be a bit scary to drive. Looks like maybe the tires are starting to fall off a bit.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. You see them Tokyo drifting a little bit around those successive corners.
And it looks like B Racer is catching to me. I would say he's now less than 3.5 seconds behind
Yeah, it
Twitchy.
definitely appears so. And Twitchy, it looked like he was coming up
Yeah, now
to another person
2.7.
as well, another back mark.
2.7 seconds now, so
Yeah, it looks like he lost a good half of a second there in terms of gap just from trying to get through the traffic back markers.
yeah, we said that catching them at the wrong time can definitely make you lose more time than what you would like.
Yeah. Whew. little bit close there between SRC and Twitchy, but it seems like Twitchy got around pretty easily.
I mean, in the end, for the back markers, it's up to them, obviously, to be respectful and to obviously try not to disrupt the race. I mean, as little as possible, at least. But given the field that we have, it's obviously people who are all pretty clean, so we shouldn't have big issues regarding that.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely the best thing you can do as a back marker is just stay predictable, stay on the line, and then move over whenever you can.
And it looks like Twitchy is pushing because he's setting up best sectors around the lap, but B-Racer is also going very fast, so the gap is not really extending.
Yeah, I mean, Twitchy, he's going purple again. We'll see if he can put the lap together, but apparently he's been running his lap times only a tenth off of the fastest lap.
Yeah, so that's very good pace. I guess he would probably have extended the gap to B-Racer on this lap at least. Maybe just a bit, but that could count because as long as he can keep him off his slipstream. Oh, when we had a spin
Oh,
apparently for the
unfortunate.
Yas Heat car, I think they were already running in P10 when the TX3 car also going very wide, but now pretty close to the Yas Heat car.
Yeah, it is that curb there. It's so aggressive. If you don't hit it just right, you can easily up, especially with some wear on the tires now. I'm sure
Yeah,
it's a lot more noticeable.
and apparently there is no rain coming for the end of this stint, but we will wait and see.
Does seem like it's getting a bit darker though.
Yeah, but
Like the sun's going down.
we will see. There's around, I mean, like what it is, like 10, 12 minutes left in that stint. So we'll see how it goes. It can happen pretty fast. You're right. So
Yep.
and we see. I don't know if you all saw that, but we couldn't see anymore the Michelin marks on the tires of the Yas Heat car because they spun, so the tires were not marked anymore, I think.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's an interesting detail. I think I'm pretty sure that happened. But yeah,
Antonio's back in P3 with Owls sitting in P4. And he's really trying to close that gap. It's
yeah,
P2, 12.7 seconds behind.
he was on pace with B Racer earlier, but looks like this spin maybe made him take it a bit safer. So that's why he's 12 seconds behind. Twitchy is still running strong. I mean, so far no mistake from him.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, he just got to finish out this stint as perfect as he can to maintain that gap from between him and Twitchy. That way he can hand off the car to his teammate and still maintain that really good gap.
B-Racer really cutting that curb. That seems to be his normal line. I would have guessed it was a track limit, but seems fine. So he's very he's using the very end of the curbs to extend as much as he can to get the most out of the track limits. And yeah, you were right. The sky seems to be very dark now.
Yeah, you can see everybody's headlights turning on.
Yep. That could make up for a very interesting end of the stint if rain comes. Do you pit? Do you stay out? Do you try to get the most out of your track position and stay out until the finish line of the stint. That would be very hard decisions to take if you're the driver and the rain starts now.
Yeah, and we're on board now with P5. Seems to be holding on to that position very well, but unfortunately, nobody really in front of him to grab any type of slip off of. So
Yep.
I'm sure at this point in the stint, he's just trying to take this place home and hand it off to his teammate.
And it would now be more interesting to see the gap from Husky to P7 to know if he is able to keep those 26 seconds that he had before. That would help him stay in P6 for the start of the second stint. And he has
Yeah.
23 seconds.
Still holding on, and now there
Yeah.
is a back marker that he got around, so now that is going to be P7's problem coming around. They
Yep.
are able to catch up.
The issue is that he seems to be losing a bit of time. So maybe they will start very close to each other for the next stint. I mean, Husky will be driving, but for Vanquish Sport, it will be a new driver that didn't do 50 laps before. So
Yeah.
he will probably be a bit more fresh and up to the task than Husky. I mean, he will have a little break, but very small one. We will see how he is able to handle the second stint.
Yeah, those front runners just really making use of every single inch of the track. It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it looks like the gap is staying around the same now, or maybe even extending a bit.
Yeah, I mean, now that we're on lap 47, most people are going to settle into their places and try and bring it home, keep it clean, and then let their teammate push for the next 50 laps.
Yeah, basically the only major thing that is at play during these last few laps is the gap between VQS and Husky, because probably Vanquish know that Husky will get a 20-second penalty, so Sakura will probably push to try and get that gap under the 20 seconds mark to be able to start in front and not have to deal with a battle at the start of the next stint.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it did seem like he lost a couple of seconds where he was at 27 and then 23.
Yeah, down to
So
23.
3-second gap is still pretty sizable. I mean, they would.
Oh
But-
yeah, for sure. And so far, no mistakes still from Twitchy. Very, very clean drive for 48 laps. Got the strategy right, got the first few laps right to be able to position himself right behind Rosete and B-Racer to be able to follow them. And yeah, he capitalized on these little mistakes that we saw. And obviously the disconnect from Rosete also helped him a bit. But yeah, so far he's driving the perfect stint for him.
Yeah. Definitely going to help out his teammate with that. But then the other thing, you have to consider is, handing off that car in P1 to your teammate. That also carries a bit of weight, a bit of pressure.
Yeah, I know that. I mean, taking the wheel in P2 during the World Finals in 2018 definitely put a bit of pressure on me.
Oh yeah, I can
So
only imagine.
I can understand when people get a bit shaky when they start the next stint. Obviously, you don't want to ruin your teammates' work, so there's that, and also the fact that the further up you are in the ranks, the more important it gets. So yeah, I guess Twitchies and B-Racers teammates will probably need maybe a few laps to be at ease with their pace.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, and anybody in the top 3, honestly, like that's a podium. So, you're taking over that car,
for sure.
hoping to have that podium finish.
That's when the experience matters, and I think for the Euromaster team in P3, it will maybe be interesting to watch them because Mehdi is used to being under pressure in the live environment, so that could very well help them.
Yeah, I mean, we could definitely see him take over the car and maybe P2, maybe P1, depending on how things unfold. And it does look like there is that 13.8-second gap between
Yeah,
P2 and P3. So he will definitely have his work cut out for him if he wants to bring the team up another step on the podium. But it is also certainly doable within 50 laps.
yeah, it looks like they lost 1.1 second, I think it was. So far, no real catastrophe, but still a nearly 14-second gap to bridge for Stint 2.
Yeah, and we're on the last lap here of the first stint. So we'll probably see all the drivers pushing max, especially if there is a decent gap in between, just so that they can ensure that they're bringing that car back in clean in that position.
Probably no real risk will be taken during that last lap. Everybody just wants to bring the car home and get the wheel to their teammate safely, and then they will just relax and probably watch how all their teammates are doing.
Yeah.
Twitchy very well driven first stint. I mean, he deserves that P1. Kind of a surprise when we saw the starting grid, but he managed this stint very well, and he gets P1 for the first stint.
Very, very nicely done. So we have Twitchy in P1 and we have B Racer in P2. It looks like Antonio is going to be 3 for the next stint.
And the Owls eSport team will get their P4. I mean, they are not too far from the top 3, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely have the room and, the plenty of laps for the improvement during the next stint. So we'll definitely have to keep an eye.
Yep, we didn't see them much, but they run a solid first stint.
Yeah, we've got Jensen in P5 bringing it home for his squad. Hosky holding on to that P6. I'm still curious as to what that gap is, 7, so we can see how he's going to be heading into the next stint.
And he will cross the finish line now, so 20 seconds is the time penalty that he will get, so let's hope for him that the gap was larger than that.
Ooh, Sakura getting a little bit loose on that exit.
Looks like we will get the SRC car in P8, the Balam team in P9, Yas Heat in P10, TX3 in P11, and the Spanish team of Papitos Racing with Josete and Manu Rodri. Unfortunately, with a disconnection from the side of Josete, probably an internet or a power cut that put them in 12s for the start of the next stint.
Yeah, and as you can see here, this is the stint 1 results, and we're going to see a similar order going into stint 2.
So the gaps will be noted by the organizers, and for the start of stint 2, basically the cars will be released according to these gaps. So let's take, for example, Twitchy and B-Racer. They will obviously get the cars to their teammates, and B-Racer's teammate will start the second stint with the same gap that B-Racer had to Twitchy at the end of this first stint. And the same goes all the way down to last. Obviously, with P12 not finishing the first stint, they will get a gap that was set by the organizers. and they will start the race, the second stint, obviously in last. But we'll have 50 laps to try and climb back, and it will be very interesting to see how maneuverability will be able to handle that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, saw a lot of great. Very well going to be as much, if not more, action, especially now the final results on the line in the second stint.
Yep, we will probably shortly see the gaps, or maybe we'll have them just before the start of the second stint. And during the break, we will have a video showing a little fun race that was held with different cars by some of the drivers prior to this event. So this was, just a little fun race with a setup BOP with a few of the drivers that are organizing the race. So you can see a few hatchbacks with custom BOP and custom liveries. And looks like we are going to, watch the video now. So I hope everyone enjoyed the first part of this race. Obviously, we still have 50 laps to watch, so I hope you all got some food, got some drinks. I mean, depending on the time zone you're in, you can see this category was named ST300 by his creator. I believe it was GTLX who designed the BOP around these cars. You can see a lot of Jerry the Duck on the liveries of the IGTL. That's kind of a symbol of the organizers. I hope everyone had hope everyone had a great time in chat during these first 50 laps, and we get 50 more just after the break. Just time for everyone to set up the new lobby and set up the gaps, maybe watch some of the stuff that happened during the first part of this race. So yeah, a pretty eventful first part of the race. We had a few spins, we had a few surprises, with the first one being Twitchy taking first place. So that was already the biggest surprise for me, I would say. And B-Racer holding up in P2, but small mistakes. Otherwise, he could have well finished P1. And the other big upset that we had was when Josete lost connection. We are not aware of why, but apparently it was on his side. So his team will be starting P12 for the second part of the race. As you can see, these little cars, lot of fun to drive. Custom liveries, custom aero parts, and some very good battles, very clean during that race. I mean, it was just all for fun for the organizers, just to have a laugh before the real event.
Yeah, I think these kinds of races and stuff are very interesting and fun to do, honestly, because a lot of people take the game seriously. These aren't really the race spec cars per se, so we don't get to drive them as often. So having some fun races, like ever, let's just run it around the track, and it's really cool and really fun to be able to like drive another car and feel the difference and kind of get to know the track in a different way as well.
Yeah, I mean, the difference between these cars and the GR2 cars, I mean, it's pretty much night and day, so
yeah,
pretty interesting.
Having all the grip in Group 2 and having none of the grip in these cars.
yeah. I mean, I don't think a lot of the actual race drivers took part in that, but if they did, they would have had to readjust pretty
Oh, that
heavily
is for sure.
compared to the different cars. Because yeah, we see RCZ with the Ford Focus, Honda, yeah, a lot of those different sports
Ooh.
cars, but
Yeah, there's a little bit of drifting going
yeah,
on in some of these corners.
different cars, but looks like the balance was pretty good and everyone could enjoy in
Yeah,
this
it's kind of
race.
funny
Everyone
that we're
has,
seeing in this race, it seems like people are pairing up, kind of like what we
yeah,
saw on Stint 1.
yeah, little duos forming on the track. So yeah, just a little fun race. I mean, it's nice sometimes to have races that don't count. Basically, oh, full drift coming into turn one.
Style
Obviously,
points.
yeah, obviously this car being front wheel drive, probably yeah, some funny funny physics, I would say, when you try to drive them on the limit.
Oh yeah, all the understeer.
Yes. Yeah, I could never drive the front wheel drive cars. I really, I'm not a fan of them.
Yeah, they definitely take some getting used to.
Yeah, I know some people only drove them back when, for example, when people choose the Peugeot or Renault manufacturers. In 2018, there was only for Renault the front wheel drive Group 4 car, so they didn't even have the choice to drive the high downforce one. They only had the one that didn't want to turn. Same goes for the Peugeot. So some people got used to them at that time, but I didn't. I didn't board the train. Decided to stick with my heavy Lexus brick that was fast on the straight and good at saving fuel. Was all I liked about this car.
Yeah, to be honest, I haven't driven them too much. Beyond the actual race spec, I think the most I've driven, ironically, is the Ford pickup truck.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, having some fun races in the rain with those. Man,
Oh,
if you ever want to laugh while playing GT7, that's the way to do it. Monsoon rain and some pickup trucks.
must be pretty funny. I guess you need to choose a track that suits them not that well to make sure that
Oh yeah,
everything
we
doesn't
picked
go.
Nürburgring
Oh
GP
yeah.
in the
Okay.
pouring rain. It was so
Yeah.
good.
It's always fun to just set up and relax with some friends in the online lobbies. I mean, now that the lobbies are a bit more stable, we still see a lot of little lags here and there. So let's hope that it will get fixed eventually.
Ooh, look at that
Yeah,
drifting.
they're definitely trying to get some more style points than positions, I would say.
Certainly on the limit.
Yeah, sending the car in every corner, basically.
Very impressive. Man, that Honda is right all over the back of that Focus.
Yeah, it looks like they have a very close battle, these two.
Ooh, keeping it clean. Let's go.
You can see the suspension work on that curb. On the road cars, it's really like you can really see them.
Yeah, that's the one thing I like about watching road car racing as well. The suspension dynamics are so more just out there and in your face, and it's
Yeah,
really interesting to see like how the car, like you can visually see how the car
yeah,
is responding more than you can the actual spec.
yeah. Definitely not that stiff of a suspension setup. And yeah, they are not like always staying together and one after the other overtaking each other.
They're
Pretty
just passing
nice.
it back and forth.
Yeah. Looks like they also decided it was going to be around time when the sun goes down, which makes up for a very good lighting environment.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, some
And
drifting
yeah,
with that too.
yeah, a lot of sliding for looks like for every of the chosen cars. There was a lot of sliding involved in the driving.
Yeah, that is for sure. But I mean, with the road cars, it's like you almost have. You're not on the limit.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. You really have to push them a lot to
Look
get
at
the
it. They're
most
like
out of them.
tandem drifting. Amazing.
Yeah, it looks like he really has to send the car in every corner to get the most out of it.
Yeah.
And again, looks like they are pretty well balanced in terms of speed in the straights, in the corners. Looks like it's all pretty well set up.
Yep. That is for sure. For those of you in the chat who are watching Stint 1, what are your hopes for people who are driving in Stint 2? Or do you have any favorite teams?
Yeah, because we will have all the drivers changed except for Husky, so we'll probably bring a whole new dynamic to the race.
And unfortunately, we just got news. Manord Rodri? Sorry if I completely butchered that, but with the Pepitos racing team, they are unfortunately out of the race completely, as he will not be racing in Stint 2.
Yeah, they're probably a bit gutted from that disconnection in Stint 1 and
Yeah.
didn't want to take part, or maybe Manu also had an issue. We are not aware of that, but I mean, understandably, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the disappointing sides of sim racing, to have so many different aspects that could go wrong and take you out of.
Yeah,
But unfortunately, it's in the same scheme of things. If you're racing IRL, there'd be
yeah,
issues that puts you out of a race. So sometimes you just have those bad days, and it's unfortunate.
yep. It's just not the same issues on the same scale as between the sim world and the real life world.
Yeah.
Having an issue in the sim world usually costs way less than it does on the real world.
Oh yeah. Usually it just costs a little disappointment.
Yeah,
In the real world, you're usually forking over some money.
and these two are still racing together, meanwhile.
Yeah, look at them just like glued onto each other's bumpers. Some absolute top tier racing.
For stint number 2, as we will get new drivers, we also will have to get used to new names. And oh, that was the end of the race, and it looks like it's a Megane that won the race. Jomas won the race in the Renault Megane with a less than 1 second gap to Loom Racer 48 in the Honda, and then cars were a bit more spread around the track. Was a pretty fun race to watch in the meantime.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now we have a little bit of highlights from their second race, which was an endurance race with a reversed grid, if I'm correct. So Jomas starting from last we will see, I would guess, the highlights of this race and
Oh
if he was able
boy.
to overtake.
Lots of side-by-side action going down in turn 1.
I mean, these cars being fairly, short and not taking that much space on the track compared to the race cars. You can fit more of them in the same corner, I would say.
Yeah, definitely a lot more wiggle room.
Okay, so if I'm correct in that race, Jomas started last and he's already P4. There was like 5 corners. So I guess that's a
That is
decent start.
impressive.
That's a decent start from him. Oh,
Woo!
massive battle. I would guess it's for P1. Oh no, it's still P4. Oh yeah, I think that's a replay from that first lap corner when we had 3 cars going into the same corner. And it looks like it stayed very clean.
Yeah, look at how close they're all sticking with each other. I feel like the draft is a lot more critical in these cars because they just don't have the pickup that an actual race car has. So I'm sure they're all trying to stick with the packs that they're in.
Yeah. So it looks like the lobby is pretty much ready. We are just waiting for one more driver to get in before we start the second part of the race. And I hope that it will be as good as the first part. Oh, we will get to see the start of the race from Jomas' point of view. So how did he make up so many positions in the first lap?
I'll taking the outside line in turn 1.
Yeah, it looks like
I
I
have a
would
feeling
say,
it's the chicane.
yeah, I would say he was positioned at the right place there. Pretty clean, and oh yeah, some people had a pretty poor exit, so it allowed him to get past at the end of the chicane.
Very nicely done.
Oh, and then a bit wide there.
Oof.
I remember at some point this Megane was a real rocket ship on the straights in Group 4, but yeah, as the tires only lasted for about 1.5 laps, it was not very good. You could very well set up a very good qualifying lap with that car because it was very fast, but in the race it was not often the best due to the tire wear, because as it doesn't like to turn, and obviously it destroys the front tires first.
Yeah.
You can imagine that when the tire wear started to kick in, it was a real nightmare. And did he finish the first lap in P2? Yeah, almost.
Wow.
Started last, finished the first lap in P3, and going in turn 1 on the second lap in P2.
Absolutely just running it.
And passed for
P1.
P1. Yeah.
Just like that.
Ooh.
Whoa!
Saw it coming from very, very far away. I mean, he managed to avoid everyone.
Definitely a missed breaking
Oof.
point. Oh!
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh boy.
That must have been a bit scary for everyone else.
Oh man, I know. If I saw that in my rear, Yeah, I'd be panicking a little.
Fortunately, it didn't wipe out the entire field. So, yeah, yeah.
That shot right there, just
That
threading
was
that
very,
needle.
very close. Yeah, very close. A little contact here and there.
Very nicely done. Yeah, it appears that we're just waiting on one person to join the lobby as they're getting ready for Stint 2. And we should be starting in less than 15 minutes here, regardless.
Yeah, I would say as soon as the last driver is able to enter the lobby, we will get the second part of the second part of the race. Sorry, underway, and hopefully we get some more rain shenanigans.
It always keeps it interesting.
These Peugeot always remind me of the Tijni hype train in 2018 when he tried to qualify for the Manufacturers Series World Finals with Peugeot. He was trying to carry the whole manufacturer, and unfortunately, he had an issue. Couldn't enter the last top 24 race, and that pretty much prevented him from at least being able to try and qualify to try and qualify Peugeot in the end for the manufacturers final. So the race apparently starting in 10 minutes, regardless of if we get the last driver in. So 10 minutes before we start the second stint. Oh, is that a 3 wide behind?
Oh boy.
Ooh,
Bit
some
ambitious in these road cars.
yeah, some are taking this corner very wide. Yeah, let's see. I think it was. Oh,
Oh my gosh,
yeah.
almost 4 wide.
And seems like no one died, but yeah, that Peugeot went really wide. Oof,
Ooh, little
contact.
bumper
Yeah.
tapping.
One thing I always found easier in front-wheel drive cars was recovering from going in the grass.
Hmm.
I think it's easier in the front-wheel drive cars, but obviously you don't want to go in the grass, no matter the car that you are driving. Trying to manage the understeer there.
Yeah, I know my Twitch chat, everybody always jokes around and we talk about mower mode because I tend to activate that a lot.
Doing the Valtteri Bottas special,
Yeah.
mowing grass with a very expensive race car.
You know, I'm really just training to be better than him at mowing grass at this point.
I mean, at least you can say that you're better at something than an F1 driver.
That is very true.
Looks like this race was also very close. Oh yeah, four wheel drift going in turn one for the that Ford. I like these all the different camera angles that we have in the Gran Turismo games. They're
Yeah.
usually always well set, and you can always change on the fly to see what you want. Oh, little bump that at the exit.
He needed that exit.
So yes, a little reminder that during the first stint we had a disconnection from the Spanish Papitos racing team of a Manu Rodri and Josete. So Josete had an unfortunate disconnection, probably related to his internet or his power at his house. So they won't be driving the second part of the race. Also, to remind that Husky, that was driving in first stint, will still be driving in the second one, as we see cars going very wide on the last corner. And so he will get a 20-second penalty on his start time. And we yet have to see if that will make him lose a position or not for the start of this second stint.
Yeah, that'll be one of the first surprises that we see going into this stint too, is where Hosky's going to end up in the starting grid. But either way, there is a possibility that he can make it work to his advantage. I mean, obviously, if he's in front, he can try and run and expand the gap. But if he does come in a little bit behind, then he can use that slipstream to his advantage at the start of the race.
Yeah, and we will have to also watch for his pace. Oh, yeah, that was a pretty ambitious dive there. So yeah, we will have to watch for his pace compared to the second VQS driver because it looked like Sakura was a bit faster than Husky, but then we are not. We have no information about the next VQS driver pace, so we'll have to keep an eye for that.
Yeah, it's definitely hard to tell exactly where they're standing in during the qualifying session.
Yeah, because as they were not there, and also the drivers that will take over now are not the ones who qualified.
Hmm.
So we we don't know at all how they will do compared to their teammates. So we could very well see a lot of position changes and a lot of differences in rhythm compared to the first stint for the different teams.
Yeah, it looks like we have some Hosky fans over here saying distinct Hosky for the win and Hosky gonna win easy.
Okay, so we are informed that we will soon have the gaps for the start of Stint 2 that we will be able to show them on the broadcast, and we will see a bit more clearly who will start where for that second stint. And also, we have to keep in mind that the different gaps between all the drivers at the end of stint 1 will be rounded up. So it will be clear starts on seconds and no in betweens. Like the organizers wouldn't be able, I guess, anyway, to make people start on exact tenths of a second. So they will call them out on the gaps by seconds rounded up compared to the gaps at the end of stint 1.
Mhm.
A lot of dives in that corner in this race. I mean, people trying stuff, but usually it does not seem to work very well.
Best they can do is try.
I mean, that's a fun race. It's now that you need to it's now that you need to try stuff, obviously.
Yep. Best
So
time to make the mistakes and learn from
yeah,
during the fun lobbies.
yeah, when it doesn't count. So it looks like we will start soon. The organizers are just putting up the race lobby, so just a few minutes until we start the second stint of the race. Looks like people had to come in the pits for this race. I
Yeah.
don't know how many laps the race was, but some of them decided to go in the pits.
It could also be possible that maybe the Honda was like, you know what, towards the
Uh,
back of the pack, maybe I'll get some
yeah.
faster compounds and just go for a fast lap.
Yeah, because I think it was the car that we saw flying in between all the others at the beginning of these highlights. So maybe he was a bit far away behind.
Definitely possible.
What are you expecting in terms of results for this second stint?
I mean, it's kind of hard to say because I'm not super familiar with everybody that's going to be in the stint 2 in terms of driving and their overall pace. I'm definitely hoping that Hosky can keep it consistent. Hopefully, he's not too tired after the first 50 laps stint. And at least he got a little bit of a break in between, so hopefully that helped. But yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm hoping staying somewhere on the podium. But beyond that, I think definitely B Racer put his team outplayed racing in a fantastic position for his teammate to take over. And it'll be interesting to see if Euromax can do that P3 or even go for that P2 within the 50 laps. So I'm definitely going to be keeping my eye on that podium.
Yeah, I guess for the podium, I would say the cars will stay the same, but maybe not the positions. And I'm also pretty interested in the car that finished before in Stint 1, Owls Racing.
Mhm.
They looked pretty strong, no real mistake. So depending on their second driver's pace, they could well come into play for the podium at the end of the second stint. But yeah, again, we will have to see the pace of every new driver, and obviously, I also hope that Hosky got to rest a bit because driving 50 laps of this track and then 50 again will be quite a
Yeah, I already
struggle,
know that
honestly.
second 50 laps, the second group of 50 laps, that's going to feel like an eternity, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But at least hopefully, if he can get into some battles, he was kind of like by himself, just doing his rhythm
Mhm.
and whatever else last stint. So maybe this
Yeah.
stint he'll get into some more battles with the newer drivers taking over and it can keep the 50 laps interesting for him.
Yep. Yeah, the first 50 laps for some of the cars looked pretty much like outlapping on their own, apart from a few raindrops here and there and a few back markers sometime. But other than that, it looked like they were pretty much practicing, I would say.
Hmm. Yeah, especially once they all spread out, they settled in, and they were just running their race.
As we see some action with those road cars.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it looks like they had a lot of fun doing that race.
Yeah, for sure. I would have loved to join if I wasn't.
Oh yeah, crazy understeer, and yeah, some cars going in the pit lane. Don't know what tires they were on, but I mean, it definitely looks like they were not really grippy tires.
Hmm. Watch, they like also made them go on like sport tires or the comfort
Yeah.
hards.
Oh yeah, it wouldn't surprise me from the IGTL organizers that they are using comfort mediums or something like that. Maybe sports hard at best, I would say.
Yeah, those tires, I always say like they say comfort, but they definitely don't they don't drive like comfort. All right, and we just got the notification that they will be starting very soon, so we should be getting the second stint here momentarily.
And on board with Jomas seems to have lost the pack again, driving his race alone.
Just hot lapping at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, I knew some of the drivers from the first stint, so I could, I mean, give some information and some prediction. But for the second one, there are a lot of names that I have no idea about, so I wouldn't be able to say anything about them. We will have to see when they start driving, basically, and after a few laps, how the dynamic of the race changes.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see how the weather evolves. Sure, there's going to be rain but I wonder if it's going to be more of the showers that we kind of saw, or if it's going to be more heavy rain.
Something that lasts for longer. And also, let's hope that no team gets caught by the strategy like VQS did in the first part. So you can see the gaps from which the drivers will start the second stint. So yeah, looks like Outplayed will start 3 seconds behind P1, Euromaster 18 seconds, Owls will start 25 seconds behind, ZKP Racing will start 37 seconds behind, and it looks like, rounded up, the Distinct Pink and Vanquish Esport will start at the same time, so we will have a pretty interesting start of Stint 2. Then you get SRC with a gap of 1 minute 26 seconds, then Balam Digital with a gap of 131 seconds, and then Yasit with 136, TX3 with 141, and unfortunately Manu Rodri will not start the race for Papito's racing team. He won't start Stint 2 after the disconnect of Rosete in Stint 1.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see how that P6, P7 situation evolves with a lap or two. I mean, I'm sure they're going to be, one of them's going to be in the draft, so it'll be cool to see if they decide to stay in the draft, or they go for an early overtake, and see how it evolves from there.
Yep. And as we get in chat some messages from Calster. Hello, Calster. He's saying that he hopes that he thinks that Mehdi will be pretty fast, as we said at the end of the first stint. I also think that he is probably the best of the top 3 at being able of handling the pressure, as he has some experience in terms of that, but we will see how it goes. I mean, at the end of the day, everyone is still in their home driving alone, so that's not the same at all as a live event environment.
Yeah, I mean, I know Jish, he's supposed to be, on pace with Twitchy, so it'll be interesting to stay as and then obviously in P2, we'll see if Somi, take the reins from B Racer and maintain that and keep that P2 ahead of Euromaster Esports.
And yeah, we are just being told to remind you that the gaps that you are seeing are not the exact gaps that people will start from, because at the start of the stint they obviously will start with low fuel, and they will be able to choose how much fuel they put in the car, because obviously that's not a race start, that's a second stint, so it is considered that the car entered the pit lane, and the second stint driver will be able to choose how much fuel basically he decides to put in the car for the start of his stint. So it's possible that some cars gain or lose a few positions with that, and we may not see the P6 and P7 as close as we are seeing them on the timetable right now.
Yeah, I mean, especially with that fueling difference, we'll definitely gap to each other. I mean, like, even P3 and P4 maybe respectively, but that in, you know, with the relative standings, you know, if you're filling your whole tank, then maybe P3 will drop to P4 if P4 doesn't fully fill their tank. So definitely looking forward to see how it's going to switch around.
And it looks like we are going to start, and already the outplayed car took first place
And
from
Geesh holding on in P2.
Yeah, but that means that he put way more fuel in the tank, I would guess.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, you may see that switch back as well. And they do have to go in for the pit at some point later in this stint as
yeah,
pit.
same as we saw B Racer do in the first part.
Yeah.
Oh, and we have also another position change between Ols and Mew Mew that got the car in P5 and is now in P4.
Interesting. I mean, that may be a good thing. You know, holding on to that P4 and working their way up the grid, they could use that draft to their advantage.
The thing is, now we will have to wait until the next pit stop to see these fuel differences play.
Mm-hmm.
And looks like Hosky hunger to P6.
Yep, he
Oh,
hangs
and
on to
yeah,
P6.
people going out of the pit lane at the same time as the leaders are coming back for their laps, so can be a bit tricky. They just have to be careful. TX3 and Yas Heat being pretty close to each other.
Yeah, I
Would be
think we're
nice
definitely
to,
going to
yeah.
see some duos again, especially towards the later end. Definitely, aggressive, elbows out kind of driving, vying for the positions for the podium.
And that's what I wanted to ask to the organizers. Looks like they are reading my mind. I wanted to watch the gap between P1 and P2. It looks like now it's 4.8 seconds, so that means that the outplayed team took something around 8 less seconds of fuel. So I'm not sure how much that translates to, but it looks like it's a pretty sizable amount of fuel that was not taken by the Italian team.
Yeah, it should be interesting to see how that ends up playing out when they start pit, especially if we have those changing weather conditions in the very.
It looks like the sky is already pretty gray, I would say. Yeah, it looks like we will get rain pretty soon. Oh,
And here
yeah.
it comes.
And I think we had a little issue for the SRC car. They seemed pretty slow coming out of the chicane. Getting
I mean, I
now
saw the
spotted
windshield wiper
by...
come on, and it
Yeah.
appears that they may be having a light. So if it's just a drizzle, we probably won't be seeing anybody the actual intermediate time. We'll have to take it a bit more cautious.
Oh,
As
yeah.
soon as I said that, we saw
Yeah.
a spin,
I'm
unfortunately.
not sure if it was a consequence of the little contact that we saw, but definitely not a good stint, not a good start of the stint for the SRC car.
Yeah,
Getting
now
caught by
SRC
the...
has
Yeah,
Mew Mew on right on the back of him, letting him go through.
yeah.
Very nicely done.
Yeah, we'll see if that gray sky translates into rain that lasts for some time, because for now we didn't get many laps of rain in the end.
Yeah, it should be interesting if we see any prolonged rain. Let's see, in Stint 1, really. A little bit of a heavy rain, but it just kind of came and went.
Yeah, it lasted for like 2 laps and then went away, and the track started to dry.
And there is a 20.2 second gap between P2 and P3. It'll be very interesting. It goes through and utilizes that.
Oh,
Oof.
yeah, that will probably be a penalty, I would say.
Yeah,
I
most
would
likely that'll
think
probably
so.
go to stewards.
Yep.
That hairpin can be so tricky on exit.
And yeah, it looks like the old Z Sport car is stuck behind those back markers, and he has some issues clearing them up.
Yeah, unfortunate for him because I'm sure he pushes as hard as he can, but it's definitely more difficult when you're trying to utilize drive. Also stuck in traffic. He's taking the inside line into turn 1. A little bit of a side-by-side action, but P11 lets him through.
Yeah. It's, I mean, his goal is probably to... Oh! Can we go back to Olds? Oh, I think, yeah. Again,
Held on to it.
Yeah, I think it looked worse again. That's what it was, but yeah, looked like had a bit of an issue. And yeah,
Yeah, it looked like the back
current
end kicked out.
P11 is yeah, this current P11 is yeah, he's not sure about whether it's better to get in front or not. Yeah, we already see differences between the drivers. Looks like ZKP Racing managed to make a gap between them and Olds already, because they got out of the pit lane pretty close, but obviously ZKP with less fuel.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like ZKP had less of an issue through the traffic and making their way through, where
Yeah.
Owls is getting stuck in that.
Some cars already a bit alone on the track too.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of expected the gaps to be a little bit larger at the beginning here. Pits, you know, we didn't have the formation lap or a grid start, so
Yeah.
not necessarily as fantastic of a start as the first stint, but we're definitely looking for a really good ending here.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to wait for quite some time to see where we really are in terms of the actual ranking of the race.
And it seems like P1 is already coming up to P6 and P7.
Yeah, I mean, with the gaps in which they started, they can already be right in the middle of traffic, so they have that to handle that their first teammate didn't really have to.
Yeah, I'm curious to see too as well, like how really good fast laps in Stint, some people hitting 24s. And I'm curious to see if at least these front runners, if they're running a similar pace or if they're slightly slower, slightly.
I mean, for now it looks like Somi is doing quite well. I don't know about his lap times, so I can't be really sure, but at least he's still in P1 and he hasn't made any big mistake so far. So it looks like they are in a good position. And Medi is, I don't know how much fuel he took, but still in P3 and we can't see P2 in front of him. So still a pretty decent gap between these two.
Yeah, it seems like P4 is really starting though, so I wonder if they're gonna go for the their next few laps.
But yeah, as we said, maybe we can expect some cars to reach the podium that were not there at the end of the first stint. It looks like Miu Miu is catching up to Medi actually, but again I think it took less fuel, so that's probably helping him a bit. Oh,
Ooh,
and yeah,
very close
yeah.
between that back marker and P4 there.
I mean, everything has gone well, so yeah, at some point I even saw the cars inside of each other. I was like, that's not gonna. Oh, and we were just talking about them, and I think the Balam team just had a spin. Don't know where we are on the track. Oh, we are, yeah, just the corner after the hairpin, basically. And that makes the SRC team get P9. Oh, and I think yeah, he has the dirty tires, so has to be careful now.
Yeah, it was probably a good move on his part to let the SR through, especially since he didn't have as fast of a pace coming out of that corner as the SR team did with that spin. But at least now, he's behind. He can try and get into and try and get that position back.
Yeah, it's as we said at the end of the first stint. For the second stint drivers, there is these first few laps where you have to find your pace, and you also don't know what the pace of the drivers that are in front or behind is. So yeah, they have to get used to that, and probably for some it takes a few more laps than for others, but now I hope that we will see him get into his rhythm and hope he can put up a good fight with the SRC car.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these drivers, they are like in the top upper level of GT7 drivers in general. But I'm curious if, many of them have actually driven with one another on the track. I mean, if they haven't, then, there's also a factor of them getting used to each other's driving styles and figuring out, how they approach corners, how they approach overtakes, and everything like that.
Yeah, because obviously a lot of them are not from the same region, so they are not racing in the same official lobbies, so of course they don't really know the reactions and how the driving style, I mean, of the other drivers. So will be interesting to see. And it seems like the two Italian cars are running with each other now.
Yeah, it seems like P1 is making their way through some of the traffic, passing P7 now. I'm sure they're going to be making their way up to P6 here shortly.
Yeah, maybe Italian teamwork to make the VQS car catch up, as you say, to P6. Oh, and Gish is pretty close. I don't know if we can see that, but
Yeah,
I
only 2.6
wonder.
seconds behind.
Yeah, I wonder what the last few lap times were for each car.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if they're running similar times. And at this point, Jeesh would have a bit of an advantage as he's coming up to that back marker and may have some of that draft.
Oh, yep. Mm.
Absolutely hopping that curb like a menace. And in general, we've seen a lot of really taking that hairpin very smooth. I mean, hairpins in general tend to be a lot more of a technical corner, so it's really cool seeing them really maximizing that whole track, taking it smooth, and even having moments of going side by side with each other.
Yeah, it looks like Gish is slowly catching up to Somi in front, like a few tenths per lap, but there are still a lot of laps to go, so if he continues like that, he will probably be able to catch up to P1.
It's also interesting too because we're assuming that Jeesh took a lot more
Yep.
Somi did. So, if they're running similar pace and Jeesh is, you know, at least a tenth faster in the last lap. So it'll be interesting to see how his lap time develops as well as he's burning the fuel and getting later in the race.
Yeah, and there's also that pit stop time that will be shorter for Gish. So yeah, it looks like he will probably get a decent gap after the next pit stop.
Yeah, and he's already making his way past P7, very smooth, very easy. And making his way up to P11 at this point. Ooh! Oh, and we saw a spin from
Yep.
P11, that curb just absolutely throwing people.
Yep, looks like the second Yas driver having some issue getting used to the track and the pace, and also, I mean, unfortunately for him, he has to watch his mirror quite a lot because of the starting position. So there are a lot of cars from the top 5, top 6 that are coming behind him. So he also has to watch out for them, which doesn't make his job really easy.
Yeah, and it seems like Mu is bringing ZKP Racing very close to that third step of the podium, catching P3 now.
Yep,
I wouldn't be
looks
surprised
like.
if we see him either stay in the slip for a little while, try and save some fuel, or possibly go for an overtake here.
I would probably tend more for the overtake there, seeing how fast he managed to catch up. And I'm pretty sure that he has less fuel than Mehdi, so he probably would want to get in front to make the most out of the lightweight of the car, because that's when he can gain time. Oh yeah, that was a bit sketch at the exit, so he lost the slip, I think. Yes, lost probably a few tenths there. I mean, we'll see how he chooses to approach that podium position. But now he has to get some time back that he just lost.
Yeah, unfortunate. I mean, I definitely would agree with, him getting in front and trying to build that gap between the next time that he does have to pit would probably be the most advantageous at this point.
Yeah, I would think that some of the drivers didn't get a lot of fuel because they probably expected rain to come very soon, so they would have to pit very soon. But if it continues to go on like that, they will have to pit for fuel before the rain comes, and that's not really what they want to do.
Yeah, definitely interesting to see some of the drivers' term kind of strategy, and seeing if that actually plays out or not.
And there's also the possibility of no rain at all. I mean, for now, the sky has been gray for quite some time, and no real rain has appeared. So, yep, we'll have to see. And Hosky managing to keep that P6 for now.
Yeah, I'm curious to see the gap between him and P7, as I think there was a back marker between the two of them,
Yeah,
if I'm
between
not
them.
mistaken.
Yep, yes, I think you're right.
Touching a
P8,
little bit of grass there.
yeah, getting a lap on P11. Yes, the SRC and the Balam Digital team still together. Looks like the Balam driver managed to get into his rhythm and is now hanging on to the SRC car.
Yeah, probably trying to maintain that draft right now, staying within that.
Yep. Ooh, the SRC car was a bit wide there, but didn't went off track, so that's all good. I wonder how the P3 battle is going, because they were pretty close before the little mistake from Unit. Maybe he's staying at around that 1 second gap, so close to the slipstream.
Yeah, I mean, and it definitely seemed like he had a bit faster pace than Medi in P3, so it should be interesting to see how close that gap again, since he did fall back behind, out of the slip.
It looks like these two are nicely matched on pace, I would say.
Hmm.
At least in the slipstream, he is able to keep up with the SRC car, and he looks like he's even closing in a bit.
Yeah, it seems like the SRC car is going a bit more defensive there, trying to get behind in the slip.
Jish, not yet in the slipstream of Somi, but not that far away. Would be interesting to see the gap. I think it was like somewhere around 2.6, 2.7 seconds, just a bit earlier. So if he managed to keep the gap the same, it's already some time gain for him as he has more fuel.
Ooh, getting a little bit loose there on the
Yeah,
exit of the hairpin, but holding on to it.
yeah. It looks like these corner exits in the Honda are something to get used to.
Hmm. Yeah, and we see that 3.2-second gap now between P1 and P2. So it seems like P1 has been able to gain some time back over Geesh.
Yep. But we have to keep in mind that the difference in the refueling time was probably around 7 to 8 seconds. So for
Yeah, so
now,
it's
I
still
would
not
say,
guaranteed for P1.
for now, I would say it's not. The gap is not large enough for him to be able to keep P1 after the refueling parts of the race. These two are staying together, doing pretty much the same as some of the leaders were doing in the first stint before we had some of the mistakes. Maybe the NSX is saving a bit of fuel behind to try and overtake in the pits. We'll have to keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, I mean, definitely being further back in the pack, I think it would be really beneficial for them to work together, especially if
Mhm.
pace.
And it looks like Mew finally caught back to Medi, so we'll have to see how this battle unfolds. And apparently, the Yas Heat car got a warning for a contact with the cars that were lapping him. So I guess the stewards are looking at everything that happens and that they won't let another contact uh, unpunished, let's say.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely the responsibility of back markers to make sure that they leave enough room for the front to get through as soon as possible.
It looks like the two cars are having different lines, with the GTR trying to set up more for the straights. And yeah, it didn't gain a lot on this, but again, we will probably see him gain more time in the corners. Will be interesting to see if he is able to get in front. Maybe we'll just choose to save fuel because it's already been 18 laps, so they probably start to get low fuel tanks for those who took less fuel at the start of the stint. And still no rain.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Moo is trying to lean on his pit strategy that he may have in mind, thinking that he may be able to pull ahead of P3 without actually having to battle on track.
I mean, it's kind of the same situation as with the SRC and Balam cars, following each other and don't really know how much fuel each other have.
Hmm.
So, and Husky maintaining that P6, but I think he's losing a bit of time to P7. Oh no, that's P1 behind him. So yeah, I don't know what's the gap between P6 and P7, but for now, he's doing a very good job. So he's about 46 seconds behind P5, and then I don't know, yeah, with P7, and it looks like Catfish lost the slipstream of the outplayed car in P1. Okay, 14 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, he opened up a pretty comfortable gap between him and P7, so at least he doesn't have that to worry about, and he can kind of just focus eyes ahead and looking to get that next position.
Yeah, I don't think that 14 seconds is enough, even if he has less fuel. Ooh, and this battle is really starting to heat up, it looks like. Oh, maybe we can see, yep, you going into the pit lane. Probably,
First pit.
yeah, way less fuel, so that was expected for him to pit before. I wonder if he will try to put a lot of fuel or if he will go for a shorter refueling. We are probably expecting P1 to get in the pits soon too,
Yeah,
because
especially if they just kind of splash and dash at the beginning here.
yeah, looks like they are coming again on a back marker. Yeah,
Ah,
that's
yeah, Husky.
Husky.
And Jeesh is still not that far behind. I mean, I'm sure he's trying to maintain at least that gap, expecting that P1 is going to be pitting relatively soon.
He's probably expecting to be able to catch him anyway on the refueling, so gap between P3 and P5 is around 38 seconds. Oh, and yeah, no, Mew went in the pits, so he lost. Oh yeah, so now, yeah, that's Mew in P5 now. So he lost around 36 seconds, 38 seconds in that pit stop.
Yeah, so probably a full fuel.
Yep.
But on the bright side, at least if the conditions do change and he has to pit again, he'll likely only be needing to change tires or get a slight bit of
Yeah.
fuel, but at least not a full
Mhm.
fuel tank.
Yeah. But the issue for him is that he will still lose the pit lane time and obviously the tire change. So not sure it was a good strategical to get low fuel at the start, but we'll see. Because he seems to have a very good pace, so maybe he can make that up on the track.
Yeah, and he very smoothly got around that back P11, so at least that's not holding him in these next couple of laps.
Yep. And Somi coming right behind Husky now. Looks like the gap X is a bit larger than before between P1 and P2, I think. Was 3.2 seconds before, but pretty sure it's around 5 now.
Yeah, it definitely looks bigger than it was before.
Yeah, 4.3.
Three.
Not quite 5, but yeah.
Still within
1
that range,
second
though.
less.
I mean, if there is an extra pit
Yep.
for P1 for whatever reason, Jeesh is right there. Even with that little slip up that he had coming out of that corner. I mean, even with that little bit of loss, it's, he's still within the
Yeah.
reach.
Mm-hmm. So I think, lost a bit of time going around Husky. Because obviously Husky doesn't want to lose time. Because he's still in a battle with P7. So yeah, now we are starting to see which cars are battling for each position. So it's a bit more clear, I would say, for P1, probably between Outplayed and Distinct Teal, and then P3 we'll have to see when Medi goes in the pit lane, because Mew is probably gonna come back at him at around that time.
I'm surprised that we've only seen clouds so far and no real rain.
Yeah, this the first stint was very sunny. This one is pretty gray, but no rain.
This one is pretty calm and, chilled out weather-wise for these drivers.
Yeah. And we are coming close to half the stint now. So maybe some decided to put half the fuel in the tank to pit on lap 75, and we will see them go in the pit at that time.
Yeah, I mean, it appears that apparently there is no rain 200 kilometers, so we definitely won't be seeing any rain. But there still is a good chunk left in this stint, so it's still possible by the end of the race.
Yep. Let's say we are safe for 3 or 4 more laps. And then we'll see again. I think Husky is able to keep in the slipstream of P1. That could help him saving fuel and getting a bit more pace. I'm pretty sure he is able to stay within that slipstream range.
Yeah, I'm sure he realized that it was in his best interest to just let P1 by as soon as possible so he can try and take advantage of that draft and make up some of that time to the position ahead.
Yep. Medi still in P3, but with Mew having a different strategy to him. Could
Oh,
very
we've got a
well.
battle here between P7 and P8.
That's pretty interesting because P7 was Catfish behind Husky, and now he's
Mhm.
being passed by the TX3 car that was further behind. So, did Catfish lose time, or is the TX3 car that much faster? I don't know.
Yeah, not sure. I mean, but at least with between the two of them, they had a little bit of side by side that carried it out very clean.
Oh, and it looks like someone is going in the pit lane, and that's the leader. So
All right.
probably, yeah, lap 75, and he will probably make a quite long refueling to put fuel to the end.
Yep. And there it is. Geesh has taken P1. Looks like so far Outplayed is going to be dropping to P3 because of this pit.
And he probably now has enough fuel to go to the end, I would guess, because he just did 25 laps, so
Yep.
he probably has enough now to go to the end. And he lost 26 seconds. So yeah, earlier we had Mew went in the pits and lost around 38 seconds. So it was definitely better to put a bit more fuel, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm not sure that Mew will be able to catch back up now, depending on his pace. I mean, compared to Medi, if he's able to have the same pace on a light car, on a I mean an heavy car than Medi is right now, then he can get P3.
Yeah, and then there's also Owls still sitting there in P4, staying pretty consistent. But I don't believe that they have pitted yet.
Yet I think you are right. I didn't see them go in the pit lane yet, so I think they are, yeah, as we mentioned with their first driver, racing their own race, trying to make the least amount of mistakes, and so far it's going well for them. Oh, and P7 and 8 in the pits at the same time.
Interesting. At least when they come out, they know they'll most likely be close to each other, depending on how much they have to fuel.
And it looks like, yeah, Catfish went out first. So the TX3 car definitely had less fuel before the pit stop.
Definitely not too far behind, though. I mean, if
Yeah.
they can pick up the pace, then they can certainly get back,
Oh
take
yeah,
the
for
position
sure.
back before the end of the race.
For sure. It will just depend on the driver's pace now, because I would say they probably have pretty similar amount of fuel now.
Yeah,
So
and
it
we
will
see that
depend.
3.3-second gap between the two of them, so we'll have to keep an eye on that.
And we have Balam Digital in the pits and Husky in
Hosky
the
in the
pits,
pits.
as well as the Yas Heat car. Yeah, it looks like around this time everyone goes in the pits. I would guess Jish and Mehdi are going to extend a little bit more, because it seemed like Jish took way more fuel than Somi in the pit lane.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we saw at the beginning how big of a gap, and with the switchback, it was crazy. Got the SRC car now, seeming to keep it pretty consistent and pretty clean. The mistake that they had, maintaining that P9.
Yeah, they didn't have the best start. I mean, Stint 1, they had a spin, if I remember correctly. And Stint 2, they also had a spin at the start of the stint. But now they seem to, yeah, have found the pace and going pretty consistent, but I don't think they went in the pit lane yet, so they would probably be closer to P10 now after they go in the pits. Somi trying to get in front of the Yacit car in P11 without losing much time.
Yep, Yacit lets him by.
I mean, it's as we said, for a lot of the teams, it's a learning experience, so...
Yeah, I mean, we've also seen that there's some drivers on this grid that are newcomers and may not be processing, and also being on the against drivers they may not have had experience with yet, you know, that might also get their head.
Euromaster car refueling for the end. I guess we will soon see Gish in the pits. And yeah, Medi dropping to P4, but so I think that the only cars that have not refueled yet are the SRC, the Owls, and Distinct Teal. I think we only have 3 cars that need to get in the pits for their refuel to the end. Still no rain. That's yeah. As mentioned, contrary to the first stint that was very sunny, this one is very gray.
Yeah. Very bleak looking in terms of the sky.
These guys probably want the rain to start falling down at some point, because they probably all have the weather radar on the UI and wondering when it will finally come.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them too. I'm sure they planned out their strats assuming there was going to be some rain like they saw in the first stint. So,
Yeah.
you know, they're probably hoping for that to shake up some things and have their strat play out the way that they wanted to.
Yeah, and as soon as they saw that the sky was very gray and the few raindrops we got at the beginning of the stint, they were probably expecting rain pretty soon. Oh, and it looks like Gish finally going into the pit lane for the refuel.
Should be interesting to see where he comes out as well.
Yep. Somi not so far away from the pit lane.
Yeah, I mean, depending on how much fuel Gish needs, then it's possible that he could come back and be out on track right behind Somi.
And also Gish had a lighter car for longer, but it looks like Somi will stay in front. Oh yeah, that gap is pretty large. Did we miss a mistake from Gish? Because I wonder, this is not really normal, I would say.
Yeah, 7.2 second gap. It seems a bit large for the strategies they were planning on.
Or maybe Somi didn't refuel enough for the end?
It's possible. I mean, I'm not entirely sure how many laps he could get on a full tank. I mean, you did see Somi go in early, but fueled, like, if you know.
Yeah, but I mean, he went to the middle point of the stint, so
yeah.
I mean, it would make sense for him to get the same amount for the rest. So maybe we missed a mistake from Gish. I don't know.
Definitely possible.
Maybe his pace at the end of his stint was not as good as at the beginning. I don't know. But yeah, it's for now at least it seems like Outplayed have the better strategy.
Yeah. And we see Owls too. They have promoted themselves up to P3. Holding on to that podium spot, doing very well.
I'm not sure they went in the pits though yet.
That's also very true. I can't remember if we saw them or not. I don't think so.
I think that's the only car, maybe with SRC now, because we didn't see SRC,
Mm-hmm.
that hasn't refueled yet. Oh, and we see a very nice battle there for P7.
Yeah, TX3 sending it up on that inside.
Yeah, so the TX3 car with more pace, definitely, because they are probably on the same amount of fuel. They went in the pits on the same lap.
Yep.
So the TX3 car. Ooh, and yeah, Catfish trying to push hard to keep in the slipstream, but losing a bit of time trying to do so. "20 laps to go now. We are closing in on the end of the race, and still not sure of who will take the last spot on the podium."
Yeah, I mean, and we see Hosky, he's still holding on to that P6.
Yeah, he's doing a
81 laps
very, very
in.
good job. Very good job. I would like to see the gap between P4 and P5, because before the pit stop, it was like they were just right behind each other. But I guess the fact that Mew had to run with a very heavy car compared
Mhm.
to Medi on a light car for longer, yeah, 12 seconds, 12.5. So the strategy for Euromaster paid out really well for them for now. At least in terms of keeping P3, because I'm pretty sure. Oh, I think we have a spin. Yeah, it's the Yashid car
Oh boy.
spinning, getting caught by other cars.
At least staying off that
Yeah,
racing line
yeah,
and letting
he's
through.
letting people go. Yeah.
Especially now, with the spin and then he touched the grass, like he's gonna have some dirty
Oh yeah.
tires.
Mhm. We'll need some corners to get the tires working nice again, and it
Oh, and
would be
Hosky on the
interesting
back of
to.
P3,
Yeah, it would be
getting some of
interesting
that
to
slip.
see the gap between P1 and P2 now, to see how it evolves. Because it
Hmm.
was 7.2 after the pit stop.
Yeah. Either way, I mean, G's still holding on to that P2.
Oh yeah, he's doing very, very well. So,
Yeah,
gap
6.8
behind.
second gap between him and P3. So he doesn't have to worry too much about P3.
Medi and Mew probably will get that P3 after Owls go in the pit for their refuel anyway. So
Mm-hmm.
Somi in P1, still no mistakes from him as far as we know. So driving a good stint for now.
Yeah, staying very consistent, keeping it nice and clean out in front, managing to get through any back markers in traffic without losing.
Yeah, this stint seems like the cars are a bit more spread out on the track. I mean, obviously with the cars starting at different gaps, it was to be expected.
Yeah, I mean, now that we're heading into the last, 15 or so laps here, it's going to be interesting to see, if they're, especially the cars that are closer to each other, who's going to be pushing for overtakes at this point. Maybe people will take riskier moves. And then, there's still time for any weather changes. So we may see that too at
Yeah,
the very end of the race.
and Owls finally going in the pits for their refuel. It will be a pretty short stop, and they will get out in P5. And it looks like the sun came back on the track. So for now, no rain is really expected.
Nice. Bit unfortunate for some of the drivers, as I'm fairly certain that some of them were planning on having
Yeah,
that rain this
having some
session.
rain. Yeah, that's for sure. So for now, Mehdi in P3, 14 seconds. Yeah, he has extended that gap for now. So doing pretty well.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how that gap is evolving between P1 and P2 and see if Jeech has been catching it all.
Yep. Mew coming back on the Yas Heat car.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if the SRC car went in the pits yet, because they were having quite a nice battle with the P10 car, Balam Digital.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, wonder how this has evolved too. And nicely done by the Yas Heat driver to led by Mew.
Yeah, we just got confirmation that SRC has not pitted yet, so it'll be
Yeah,
interesting to see when they do pit.
that's what I was wondering. So we will see when they finally go in the pits if they get out in P9 or P10, because that was their battle before the pit stops.
I would imagine they'd have to pit pretty soon. I mean, we're on lap
Yeah,
86 here.
yeah. I mean, they will have a short pit stop though, so
Hmm.
might be better for them. 43 seconds. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they will get out in front then, because
Yeah, they'll likely hold on to that P9.
yeah, because we saw Mew lose 37 seconds earlier with a
And that was,
very long fuel stop,
yeah.
and this should be a pretty short one. So and he's going around one more at least.
Absolutely just running that tank dry.
Yeah. Guess he went for a lot of fuel at the beginning of the stint. Because he's really extending that compared to all the other cars.
Hmm.
A bit wide there for P1, but all good.
Yeah, and I saw She's making his way up to one of the back markers there. I believe it was the person in P10 with Balam.
Yep. We'll see if all goes well and he passes him. Oh, and new fastest lap. Took some time, but new fastest lap 24.682.
Yeah, so we absolutely trying to run away with the P1, knowing that she's gonna.
Yep. I mean, he hasn't made any mistake for now, so, and he's extending the gap. Yes. Now he basically just has to keep it on the track until the end of the race, and the SRC car finally goes into the pits after
on lap 87.
37 laps. Yep.
Absolute madman.
We'll probably feel way better with these tires than he was with the previous ones, at least.
Oh, absolutely.
And yeah, pretty short stop, so no issues getting back to P9. Yep, P10 just at the pit straight, and Jish coming right behind.
Yeah, I saw
Will
him
he?
flashing him to tell him that, hey,
Yeah,
you
will
mind
he
moving
let him
over?
go there? Seems like he's not really letting him go, to be honest.
Interesting.
We'll have to, yep, keep an eye on that to see if there's no real issue there.
Yeah, I mean, at least they're turn one and everything clean, so it's not
Yeah. Oh,
by him
yeah.
emptying the lap.
I think he did. I think he just did let him go before this corner.
Very nice.
Ooh, and was that Medi just in front? I'm not sure. Oh no, Medi's. Yeah, it's another GTR. That's why I was. That's why I thought. So yep. No, P3 still firmly in the hands of the Euromaster team. Olds keeping up for that P5. I think they were P4 at the beginning of this stints, but of this second stint, sorry. But still no mistake. They are, yeah, driving on their own and keeping it clean. So getting a
I mean,
nice
especially
finishing
with this
position.
grid as well. Like, I mean, even getting P abs. So, good on them for holding the position and down to 5 by the end of the show that they put
Yeah.
out today.
Oof. Yeah. That NSX looks a bit sketch to drive.
Oh no, into the grass he goes.
Yeah, I'm not sure why
Unless
he
that was
went.
lag, question mark?
Yeah, I
So odd.
don't really know. Yeah, that was very weird. But I mean, he's still racing, so
As
let's
long as he's
forget
not in the
that.
wall.
So me coming up to P9 now, the SRC GTR.
Yep, gonna have to make his way around that back marker
Yeah,
now.
I would guess he will maybe let him go in that straight. We will have to see.
Yeah, most likely. I mean, Somi is so close.
Maybe we'll wait for the second straight. Oh
Yeah.
no, he's just
Oh,
letting him go now.
wow.
Just did let him go in the braking zone.
Yeah, from that angle, it looks absolutely
Yeah,
insane. Somi was just
yeah,
zooming.
yeah. The speed difference was, and it looks like Somi is extending that gap to P2.
Yeah. G's still
And
keeping it consistent, though. Minimal mistakes or anything. Keeping a consistent pace and just running the race.
yeah, we have a few teams that didn't make mistakes, and they are here up the ranks. We have Olds, we have Distinct Till. I'm pretty sure every other team uh, had some issue at some point, like a few spins here and there.
Ooh, I think that was a mistake there from SRC.
Oh, you see
Saw their tires
in the
smoking.
background.
Yeah, I saw their tires smoking a bit like they had spun. Still holding on to P9 though.
Oh, yep. Yeah, you're right. It looks like they just got back on track.
Yeah, just got confirmation that SRC did unfortunately spin. But luckily enough, he has built a big enough gap between him and P10 that he's holding despite the spin.
Yeah, he had built a decent gap. So, oh, now he has Jish coming behind. He will probably let him go the same way. Yep, very nice sportsmanship from the SRC team.
Yeah, I'm wondering how close that gap is now between 9 and 10. Oh, no, and Hosky had a bit of spin there. unfortunately is going to lose that
Yeah, lose that
P6 to
P6.
TX3.
That must be. I mean, he's on his 91st lap of the track, so I guess he's probably a bit tired now.
Oh yeah, I'm sure those arms are starting to feel like jelly. At least Hosky, even though he did have that mistake, he is still relatively close to that P6 with TX3 car.
Yeah.
So there is still a chance with 8 laps
I mean,
they'll be able to
it
catch.
still looks like this TX3 car has very good pace, but I mean, as long as he can stay in range to benefit from a mistake, then he can hope for that P6.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely one of the other things too. Is staying behind somebody for a while and you're on that pace. Sometimes you can get in your head and make them
Mm-hmm.
make a little bit of a mistake, and then you can take advantage of it.
Yep.
Either way, massive showing from Hosky for running laps by himself.
Yeah. Yeah, running the 100 laps alone. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, very nice from him.
That alone is an achievement.
And gap from P5 to P6 is 1 minute and 9 seconds, so I guess the top 5 is pretty much secured now. And we have still a few things to watch for in these last few laps of the race. Vanquish Esports P8, they started last, so that's a decent race for them. I
Yeah,
mean,
decent recovery.
they had a very strong first 5 laps, let's say, before the first rain came and they made the wrong strategy call. But yeah, and it looks like for P5 the battle is pretty close still. I think the 2 cars are still in the same straight, because I think behind it's
Yeah.
the Owls car.
Yeah, Owls is really getting close.
Yeah, we have to keep in mind that Mew is on his tires for quite a few more laps than the car in P5, so maybe he's starting to drop in terms of lap times.
Yeah, definitely possible. And the sun is still out. Seems like there's not going to be any rain this stint at
looks
all.
like this stint will not have yeah. Yeah, it will be pretty interesting to watch this sort of battle maybe for P4. I mean,
Yeah,
few
it seems like
laps
Owls
left.
is getting pretty close.
Yep.
We got P1. Somi is still running some very consistent laps, maintaining that gap to P2 with only about 6 laps to go.
They did a very, very strong race. The outplayed team.
Yeah, that 8.2 second gap still holding.
Yep. It looks like if there is no mistake, our top 2 is sealed for now. Maybe even our top 3, I would say, because it looks like Mew has more to care from P5 than from P3.
Yeah, if anything, I think it's more likely that we would see a battle between P4 and P5, letting P3 just kind of run the rest of his race.
Also a nice recovery from TX3 in that stint. They got up a few position because yeah, they started this one in P11, so very
Yeah,
nice
absolutely climbing
showing.
right back up.
Yep, gained 5 position. Pretty good stint for them.
Absolutely.
So yeah, these drivers will get to say that they drove about 35 laps with a gray sky and 15 with the sun going down, so no real light. They didn't
Yeah, I was
really.
almost hoping for a monsoon this
Yeah.
stint.
And we saw Somi at the end of the straight, so the gap is still pretty decent for him in P1.
We just got news that Aki Sakudo got black flagged for impeding and crashing into cars. He was one of the back markers
Yeah,
with
that's
Yas
Yas
Heat
Heat.
Academy.
Yeah.
So P11 and P12 are definitely sealed.
Yep, that's for sure. Ooh, we are being told that apparently Somi has to pit still. Maybe he doesn't have enough fuel to get to the end of the race.
Could be interesting. If
Yep,
that's the case, it'll be interesting to see if if there's still that 8 gap, just the pit delta
yeah,
alone, he'll pull ahead.
yep, because we saw at the beginning of the race that the pit stop took at least 14 seconds. And yes, he's
Yep,
going in the
he's in the
pits.
pit. If Jeesh can hold on, he P1
Yeah,
here in the
he
last
will
3 laps.
he will clearly be P1 now. Clearly ahead, yeah, that's not even a question.
Wow, I was not expecting at
I mean,
all.
yeah, I mean it was weird the gap after the pit stop, as we mentioned, and we were wondering. It was weird that Somi still had like 7 seconds in front because he should have went P2 because he had so much fuel to get back compared to Jish, but yep, looks like the strategy from Distinct is
Looks like
paying
it paid
right
off.
in the end. Yeah.
Oh no, it appears that Somi has put on inters
Oh.
with
Oh,
a
but
rain shower potentially 100
oh, so
kilometers.
that's why.
Yikes. Only
So
3 laps to go.
is he hoping that everyone else crashes in the last lap?
Oh boy. See,
Yep.
now this is what I was thinking we were.
Yep, that will be an interesting four last laps.
I mean, theoretically, if the rain shower isn't that heavy, laps.
Yep, they can keep on the. But yeah, now Medi is in P2 because Somi's rhythm is very slow on these inters, and the rain is not there yet. So
Yeah, I mean, we're on lap 98, so at this point, that's on better just to try and stick it out on these
yeah.
if the does come.
Oh, and the Owls got P4. They
Very
went in
nice.
front. Yeah, as we were saying this battle could be close. Yep, wonder if that rain... Apparently the rain is coming, but
Ooh.
very slowly, so...
Yeah, now it's 125 kilometers away, but we're still like less than 2 laps away at this point.
I'm not even sure we will even see the rain, to be honest. Maybe at the end, just for the last lap. But now, what's the gap between P3 and P4? Because if the gap is not... Yep. If the gap is not that large... Somi could lose the podium. 20 seconds we will have to see. I don't know what his lap times are looking like, but he still has 2 laps to do, so...
Yeah, I mean, we knew he was going purple earlier and having that... bit questionable.
Yep. I mean, he probably expected that train to come very, very fast.
Probably.
It looks like it won't be there before the last lap.
Yeah. 80 kilometers away now. It is getting mighty dark. It may be a bit of a shower. It depends on how heavy the rain is. I mean, within that last lap. We only got 1 lap remaining.
Mehdi with a new fastest lap. 24.632.
Yeah, it's likely that it will either rain within the last lap or just as the race is ending. Which, to be honest, I mean, depending on how heavy the rain is, even if it does come last lap.
Crash from you.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so P4 will definitely go to Owls. And I think P6 is very far away anyway, so you won't lose anymore. Yep, P6 is there, not already on lap 99. And we entered the last lap.
Final lap. Rain is 50 kilometers away.
Yep, still no rain. So yeah, that was not the right call from Outplayed. I mean, they tried. I see why they tried that. They wanted to go for the win, and they knew they probably would stay on the podium with a call like that. But yeah, I mean, they risked it.
Yep. Yeah, if that rain came in faster, they would have been right on point. But unfortunately, the rain just held back. Took its sweet time.
And Husky still hanging right behind DTX3 car. I mean, we can wish him a very good night after this race, because he drove very well.
Nice sleep after this one, because I'm sure he's
gonna feel these 100 laps. And Jish coming to the finish line, and still no rain. So yep, that wasn't the right call to put on Inters. Anyway, it's the victory for Distinct still for Jish and Twitchy. Very well driven from these two. No mistakes.
Absolutely amazing showing. And we've got Mehdi bringing home Euromaster P2 here.
And Somi should get P3. Yep, he will get P3. I guess those Inters are not really nice to drive on. Oh, look, the rain.
Here's the rain.
Yeah, that's a bit of trolling, I guess, from the game. Owls finishing in P4. Very, very nice race. No,
very consistent. Nice attempt at a 360 there.
Yeah.
And the rain is here.
Mew finishing in P5 after his last few laps mistake. The TX3 car will take home P6. Husky drove alone for 100 laps to bring home P7. The Vanquish Esports team started last and finishes P8. SRC drove an eventful race with a few spins but finishes P9. The Balam Digital car finishes P10. Yas Heat with unfortunately a black flag finishes P11. And again, for the disconnection of Josete in Stint 1, the Papitos Racing team will finish last of this race.
What an amazing showing from everybody on the grid, to be honest. It may have been some mistakes and recoveries were great. And it was very interesting to see how all the strategies played out throughout the whole 100 laps.
Yeah, it was very interesting to see the different strategies, the different changes because of the weather, and obviously it was also a bit interesting to see that the sky was gray for the whole stint in the second one, but the rain finally came just after the leader crossed the finish line. So, and it was pretty heavy rain, so yeah, a few laps earlier and everything could have been very, very different, but
Yeah, that is
that's
for
how the
sure.
race finished. I hope everyone enjoyed the race in the broadcast. It was really a pleasure to commentate on that with Artemis too. And yeah, I hope everyone had a great time.
Yeah, it's been absolutely amazing commentating. Fun to thank you, Sky, for commentating with Air here. And yeah, it's been a fun time. Hopefully, I can commentate something again pretty soon.
And yeah, again, congrats to G and Twitchy for the well-deserved victory. I mean, they drove a pretty much perfect race for them. I mean, no mistakes, no big mishaps. So yeah, they deserved that victory.
Yeah, absolutely awesome.
And also congrats to Euromaster for the last minute P2, let's say, and
Yeah.
outplayed. Congrats for the podium and GG's for the risk taken at the
Honestly,
end.
GG's for holding on to that car with the
Yeah, with
inters
those
on the
dying
last few
inters.
laps.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely awesome. Congrats to all the podium winners.
And thank you to all the drivers who took part in the race. Nice showing by everyone, and I hope every driver in the race enjoyed these 50 laps, and for Hosky these 100 laps.
Yeah, seriously.
I mean, he
I mean,
decided
honestly,
to
like
do that.
100 laps, and he only really had one mistake, really, that we
Yeah, I
saw, which
mean,
was incredible.
he decided to take on the challenge, and he managed it pretty well. So there's your final results. I mean, provisional, because there could still be a few penalties if the stewards find some things in the replays. But yep, so victory for Distinct GG Teal with Twitchy and Jish. P2 for Euromaster Esports, Antonio and Medi, who started the race far down the grid, I believe, and had a
Mhm.
very, very good race. And the podium is completed by the Italians from Outplayed Racing, B Racer and Somi, who took a risk at the end of the race to try and win it, but ended up on the podium still. And congrats to everyone else.
Yeah, it's been absolutely an amazing race. Everybody, awesome job. So everybody should be proud of how they drove today. And yeah, should be awesome to see how everybody does in the next race that IG hosts in the near future.
Yeah, a lot of people were. Oh yeah, they put 2 times Husky on the results. I didn't
Yeah.
see it. Yeah, it will be interesting, as you said, to see if some of the teams come back to the future events organized by the IGTL, and if they do so, maybe they will have more experience now and be able to fight at the top a bit more. But still, I think that It was a great race because we had battles at every level. No one was really alone every time. We had like battles for quite every position, and gaps were not that big, so it was a very good race, I think, for every driver.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, all the battles across through the entire grid kept everybody on their toes. And the weather changes, the first stint was absolutely awesome to see everybody strat and doing all of that on the fly as the weather came. And, stint two, maybe they planned for other weather, but, in general, it was still an absolutely awesome stint. There was a lot of battles, a lot of changes, and just great to see.
Yeah, and a few mistakes here and there that kept a bit of suspense in the race. I'm pretty sure if everyone didn't spin a few times here and there, the results might be different. But that's how racing goes. You have to take into account the mistakes that make you lose a bit of time.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you to everybody who has been in all the drivers. I'm sure they put a lot of effort into the practice and the prep for this. So thank you all for coming out, and we have our credits here. So special thanks to all of the drivers and teams as well. Without all of them and putting on this race, then me and Pikmin wouldn't have a job. So
Yeah, really thankful to the organizers for asking us to commentate on this race. It was a very nice one, and I had a good time commentating on this one. Thank you to all the drivers who took part. A bit sorry for the ones who had issues and could not take part today, like the wheel issues and stuff. But yeah, thanks to all the IGTL staff, every driver who took part in the race and who did great, basically, for 100 laps.
yeah, thank you everyone. Thanks for coming out, and hopefully you'll come out to one of the future IGTL